It's time for Twig This Week in Google. Aaron Newcomb, the project man, joins us, along with Jeff Jarvis. We're going to talk about Google's self-driving cars. Some interesting news from the National Highway Transportation Safety Administration. Also, finally, some good news from the courts and Congress. It's all coming up next on Twig.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for This Week in Google is provided by CacheFly. CACHEFLY.com. This is Twig, This Week in Google, episode 339, recorded Wednesday, February 10th, 2016. Benson-approved. This Week in Google is brought to you by Harry's. For guys who want a great shave experience for a fraction of what you're paying now, go to harrys.com. For a limited time, new customers can get a free trial and pay just $3 for shipping by going to harrys.com/twig. And by NatureBox. NatureBox is dedicated to making smart, delicious snacking easy. They have over 100 ridiculously delicious snacks that get delivered directly to your door. Visit naturebox.com/twit and you'll get 50% off your first box now. And by Texture, the mobile app that lets you access the world's most popular magazines anytime, anywhere, using your phone or tablet. For your free trial, visit texture.com/twig. It's time for Twig This Week in Google, the show where we cover the latest news from the Googleverse, from Facebook, from Twitter, too. Jeff Jarvis is here, professor of journalism at the City University of New York. He's also the author of many books, including What Would Google Do? Private Parts is his Public Parts is one of his latest, and then of course Geeks Bearing Gifts is his latest. They're all on the usual suspects, Amazon, etc. And he blogs at buzzmachine.com. Hello, Jeffrey.
Hello. Good to see you.
Nice to see you. Also joining us, we're thrilled to have him, Aaron Newcomb.
Always. Hello,
yeah.
Aaron.
Aaron is a maker. You see him pretty regularly on Floss Weekly. In fact, you were on yesterday on Floss Weekly. And he also joins All About Android fairly frequently. And you've been on all of our shows, actually.
Yeah, I think so. Except for Mac Break Weekly. You know, I kind of avoid the whole Mac, Apple verse.
You're more of a Linux guy.
So, yeah. So I prefer to go on All About Android. Or
what are you running? You're running Windows, it looks like.
Windows, I am.
I'm shocked.
I am. This is a company laptop, so I don't get a choice.
Can't put Linux Mint on there.
I'm dual booting Linux Mint.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But don't tell anybody that.
Shh.
Yeah.
Shh. Aaron works at NetApp.
NetApp, that's right. Yep.
Which is?
Storage.
Okay.
Yep.
Good enough.
Yep. Big
that's
storage systems for data centers.
Yep.
Lots of storage.
Yep. Ladies and gentlemen, we can talk today about many things.
As always.
As always. Jeff, where do you want to start? Where do you want to start?
God, I don't know.
Should we talk about the Twitter thing that's going back and forth? I have not yet seen it. Remember, we talked last week, talked ad nauseum probably, that Twitter was going to put I don't know if we actually talked on Twig about this.
No, I don't
think
think
we
we did.
after Twig.
It was after Twig, yes.
They were going to do as Facebook does, not a chronological feed, but an algorithmic feed that would surface the best tweets you might have missed and then show the rest. Jack at first said it's not exactly. A former Twitter engineer said, well, it would be great. And then they've done something, but they haven't done that yet. It's kind of, now see, whatever it is, I don't have it yet. It's rolling out. But the idea is that it's kind of while you were away, the while you were away stuff will surface, but it's algorithmically chosen the best tweets you might have missed, and then you can go on and see whatever else is going on. Kind of like I like while you were away. Jeff, are you getting the new thing?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I don't think I am. Nope.
I
use TweetDeck anyway, so I'll never get it there.
So here it's Jack's tweet. Tweets you missed from people you follow. Recapped in reverse cron. Refresh back to live. Flip it on to try now. Interestingly, this is a 7-hour-old tweet that was at top of my timeline above a 1-minute-old tweet from somebody named Kim. So I guess I do have it.
Yeah.
Starting today, you can choose to try our new feature so you'll never miss important tweets from people you follow. Well, this is the Twitter blog. You flip on the feature in your settings. Then when you open Twitter after being away for a while, the tweets you're most likely to care about will appear at the top of your timeline, still recent and in reverse chronological order. The rest of the tweets will be displayed right underneath, also in reverse chronological order. As always, at any point, just pull to refresh to see all the new tweets at the top. Now, this, of course...
What setting is this?
This, of course, requires that you use either the dedicated Twitter client or Twitter on the web. I'm not sure... I don't know. Shall I look at my settings and see?
I can't find. Yeah, I'm looking at the settings right now. I don't see anything.
Twitter's settings have gotten, like Facebook, large and arcane.
It's just Twitter.
It shouldn't be this complicated. Should
Order history? No, that's orders.
Mark media, no. Video, do not inform me. Actually, do inform me before I see media that may be sensitive. I should turn that one on for sure. Re-enter your Twitter password to save changes to your account. Okay.
Oh, I've blocked lots of people. Woo. Woo, that's a long list, all you little efforts out there.
So my question is, what happens when you have a, let's say, Leo, you tweet something, right?
Yeah.
And then I reply right away. And then someone else replies, and there's this whole kind of conversation flowing in chronological order, but then it only promotes your part of the conversation.
Then it would, well, that's one complaint people have had is that conversations will get broken up.
Yeah.
But that's not, the blue line will show you, on the web anyway, if it's a conversation, we'll let you see the conversation, right?
Okay. See, I'm not a huge Twitter user.
Yeah,
so
that's, yeah.
I'm trying to compare this
I'm
to
a huge
Google
Twitter
Plus
user, and I don't know how that works, so that's kind of the thing about Twitter is you didn't really have to know anything to use it.
Right.
I don't see a setting either, Jeff, and they weren't clear about where that setting is.
So Twitter at this moment is releasing its report, financial report.
All right.
And I just saw this from Christina Warren that says that the monthly average users for Q4 15 were actually down on a sequential basis.
Oy. That's going to kill them in the stock market.
The revenue was up 48% from the same period.
Yeah, but this market has never cared about that.
No.
Right? The market only
700
cares.
million.
The market only cares about growth. Growth's been slowing, so Twitter's stock has been diving, and now with a negative growth, I would imagine it'll dive more.
I want to confirm that, folks. I don't see the story. I just saw a tweet. Matthew Ingram retweeted it.
That's why we like the Twitter. It's all, see?
Was it algorithmically promoted?
Is.
Is that how you found that?
Breaking business. Yes. Twitter shares plunge after fourth quarter earnings, now down 12%, according to MarketWatch. Well, but except that I'm looking and now it's up 4%. Nope, now it's down 5%. It's up, it's down, it's down, it's up. You see that? Look at that plunge, and then it came and it rebounded a little bit. But currently, the key is that market cap is now $9.83 billion. That's what it would cost to do a hostile takeover, just to buy it, buy Twitter, basically.
What was the market cap at its highest? Anybody have any idea?
A lot more than that. I don't know. I could probably get a market cap graph, but I don't, if I cared. Twitter reported a net loss of $90 million. That's better, though, than the year to year. It was $125 million this time last year. Adjusted earnings per share, 16 cents. That's above the consensus, so usually the market likes that. That's probably why it's going up and then down, or down then and up. Sales of $710 million. That's almost double what they did a year ago.
So Anthony DeRosa says if you exclude, quote, SMS fast followers, Twitter lost 2 million users since last quarter.
However, it reported flat, 320 million monthly active users.
So it rounded down.
Yeah, and it rounded up. Well, it didn't do the exclusion that you just described. What is it, the fast SMS users? Why would you exclude those? I don't even know.
And then Bill Lee says if you take out $2 billion, 4.2 billion current assets, less $2 billion in liabilities, Twitter is valued at only $8 billion.
$8 billion. Again, getting more and more affordable. We learned that last week Mark Andreessen had, along with Silver Lake, considered buying Twitter outright. That'd be an interesting play. One of the things, we had Jason Calacanis on Twitter a week and a half ago, and I asked him, well, who would buy Twitter? And he said, well, there's two categories. There's one, companies like, say, Google or Apple that would integrate it into their existing business. Twitter would be of value to integrate it into your existing business. The other would be investment companies intending either to spin off or turn around Twitter.
Right.
Mark Andreessen's probably one of the few people in the world who thinks he could turn around Twitter.
Yeah, we'll get to a story later. Today, he probably doesn't feel too good about being on Twitter. He stepped in it, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, it's like Marissa Mayer trying to turn around Yahoo, right?
Oof.
I mean,
so I got it. So Verizon will just buy both Yahoo and Twitter and AOL, and we'll sit there and we'll never see them again. Yeah,
that was the rumor, wasn't it? That Verizon was looking at Yahoo's properties. That would make sense. Yeah. Verizon bought
AOL.
AOL, and yeah, you have to feel like if Verizon buys you.
Well, it used to be if AOL or Yahoo bought you,
you disappear into the basement.
You died. Yeah.
It's a conundrum. I mean, Yahoo's got all of these great assets, and yet they're not, at least from my perspective, people will disagree with me, but they're not compelling anymore.
Right.
And so what do? You're just sitting on these, Flickr and a couple other things, and
finance.
But it's not really compelling. So the same thing with Twitter. For me anyway, it doesn't seem to be as compelling.
Really? I feel like Twitter has the real conundrum on Twitter is that it is kind of inherently valuable as what was it the guy in the New Republic said, as kind of the news feed of the world. If you want to know what's happening right now, you go to Twitter, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
There's a real value there. Now, with only 320 million monthly active users, that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
But it's not. I guess part of the problem is the scale is now dwarfed because of Facebook's 1.6 billion people.
Mm-hmm.
It makes 320 look low.
Twitter could say, this is antithetical to the way Silicon Valley operates, but say we don't want the whole world. We want the elite people who are actually going to share stuff worth sharing, who care about sharing. And that's where the news is. It's a bit of a spin, but maybe there's a way to consider that.
I don't think Twitter is just used by elites. It's just used by pockets, by different social groups.
Yeah, but there are those who argue actually that it is an elite within Twitter, is where all of the action is. Tech, showbiz, celebrity. There's a pretty thin layer of Twitter that is most of Twitter.
Yeah.
Anything else from the results?
No, I'm just kind of scanning them to see if, Henry Blodgett tweets now that Twitter's valuation is attractive, by which he means they're attractive ripe for takeover. I think we will get some news in the next few weeks about a takeover. Good article by Matthew. Speaking of Matthew Ingram, I love Matthew Ingram. Good article, I think, and I'd love to get your opinion about the Authors Guild and the Google book scanning. This is, Google started scanning kind of unilaterally ages ago. The Authors Guild said, you're stealing our stuff. They lost many times in court because, here's what the opinion piece on the Wall Street Journal on Monday, how Google stole the works of millions of authors. Authors Guild President Roxana Robinson writes, in 2004, Google sent its moving vans to the libraries and carted off some 20 million books.
What a sinister image.
It copied them all, including books in copyright and books not covered by copyright. It asked no authors or publishers for permission, and it offered no compensation for their use. So they sued and lost and sued again. They started in 2005. They started this process and sued again. And the thing is, in court, in 2013, the judge, Jenny Chen, ruled that Google's book scanning project met, quote, all the legal requirements for fair use. Not only did the scanning and indexing of books provide what the judge called significant public benefits, both to authors and book lovers, but Chen said all society benefits.
Yeah.
Yes.
He said it is a transformational use. Reminder here, Google never makes the full contents of the book available for reading. It's snippets.
Yep.
And Google is doing what a library patron does. Google borrows the book. It can do whatever it wants with that book, and it gives the book back.
Well,
okay, so it records the book. It copies the book, right? That's the issue. We went through that exact same argument when it came to VCRs, right? that the act that is if somehow copying for an internal use was a copyright violation. Copyright law, I'm coming to see more and more and more. Larry Lessig was right, is an outmoded concept.
Yeah. Well, so in fact, the Authors Guild has now appealed to the Supreme Court and is hoping the Supreme Court will hear it. But the Authors Guild is somewhat, according to Matthew Ingram, changed its argument, saying lower courts have in fact distorted copyright law beyond its original meaning by overemphasizing this transformative use. Transformative use is one of 4 measures for fair use. If it's a transformative use of the original, it's considered a fair use. The court has to consider the purpose of the infringing use, the nature of the original work, the amount of the original work used, and the impact the infringement might have in the market for the original. So in the new argument, the new brief before the Supreme Court, hoping they'll take the case, they haven't yet, the Authors Guild says the Second Circuit's refusal to give real weight to any factor other than the perceived transformative purpose also contracts the approach mandated in other circuits. More fundamentally, it threatens to undermine protection of copyrighted works in a digital age to an extraordinary extent. Such a radical rewrite of copyright law should not be allowed to stand without this court's consideration. Matthew Point says this is in a sense, the lawyers for the Authors Guild dangling a carrot in front of the justices saying, now you really want to take this case because we're talking about, a massive, subtle transformation of the copyright law.
Raises the stakes for them to.
It's not just about us. On the one hand, if the Supreme Court took this case, they could settle it once and for all, and it would help a little bit in kind of an understanding of what copyright means in the digital.
Or you could argue that it's already been settled once and for all.
Well, it has, by circuit.
Just release it. Yeah.
2 separate court opinions. Why is he, Jeff? You're an author. Why does Margaret Atwood hate Google so much?
Yeah, I know. It's this notion of content. I was talking with somebody, a very smart guy last week, who was looking into government data, and he was trying to look for the economic benefit of government data being opened. And I said, to me, the way to attack this question is that in the case of government data, I know this is going to sound like it's irrelevant, but I'll get there in a second. There should never ever be a question of copyright. Number one, because information cannot be owned, and in the case of data, it's a clear case of that. Only the treatment of information can be owned. That's copyright. So there should never be a question that government has copyright on data, especially as our data. Second issue, of course, is that we've already paid for it. It's ours. There's economic benefit to it, and government should never own copyright, in my view. Now you transfer that to what Google has done. It's not just about, Google didn't, in a sense, I would argue, copy the prose to have the prose. Google copied the data to have the data. What does mankind say in all of its books? Humankind, pardon me, say in all of its books. That's information, that's data, that's knowledge, that's worth having. There is a societal benefit, as the judge said. They didn't copy it to go read the books for free or to sell the books to others. I would say it is, in fact, indeed a different transformative use that I think does fit fair use. But authors just can't get their heads around that because and just like newspapers, just like magazines, just like TV stations, we sell content. And as long as you stay in the business of selling content, you're going to be commodified. And I think that's an outmoded business model.
Well, and also, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I'm not saying to kill books. I'm not saying to kill copyright. But is that the basis of business models going forward? I don't think so. Sorry,
I don't even think you have to be that kind of transformative about the whole thing. This is a very straightforward, in my opinion, use. It's what Google's was created to index all information, to make it available to your fingertips. They're not selling the book. They're not, They're not giving you the full text of the book. They're letting you search what would otherwise be a dark area, which is the context of books, so you can discover it, find it, and even in some cases buy it.
That's exactly my point. And that's what I was going to bring up, is that if you're an author, don't you want your work to be discovered? I mean, do you want to be regulated to doing book signings at bookstores? Not that bookstores are bad. Love bookstores. But you're missing out on a whole broader universe of exposure to your work. And I know that I don't know about you guys, but I have found books on Google Books through Google searches that I do, where I was looking for something very specific, and oh, by the way, there's a book.
Yeah.
And I can tell by scanning, how they let you look at a snippet of the book. I looked at that. I'm like, oh yeah, this is exactly what I'm looking for. I'm going to go buy this right now. I would have never found that in a bookstore.
Exactly, Aaron. And a clear lesson that I've learned in the business, whether this is news stories or books or music or whatever it is, your content is your best ad. The content itself is what draws people. Rupert Murdoch arguing that a 3-line snippet is theft, of course, we know is patently absurd. That 3-line snippet actually might be too short to effectively send audience to what you've made. So I don't think there's that much new in this case. I hope the Supreme Court doesn't take it because I think it's settled law now. If they do, I shudder to think what they might do. There's Lawrence Lessig tried to take the extensions of copyright to the Supreme Court, and he failed there. The Supreme Court in the past has not been terribly interested in, I think, in revisiting copyright. So we'll see.
The Ngram viewer is a really good example, somebody says in the chat room, of how this is transformative. Let's do a search. You could search across books from 1800 to the year 2000. You can use multiple search so you can see how, let's say, the Tragedy of the Commons. Tragedy, I don't know why I'm searching for that, of the Commons. Let's see how that search term being much more mentioned ever since 1964. I mean, that's a silly, what would be a good example? I don't want to...
Television.
Oh, yeah, good. Radio, newspaper, television. And see how these trends have changed. Radio peaked in 1945 when it got more than twice the number of mentions of newspapers. TV started going up then. Radio went down, but TV crossed radio.
Interesting that television didn't peak the way radio did.
Yeah. Well, not yet.
It was kind of it stays over.
Not yet. 1978, it crossed radio, and of course, it continues to be #1 now. Newspapers, though, their peak was also in the 30s, but it's held fairly steady ever since.
Which would argue that radio was a more transformative societal.
You see, that's how an academic uses this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's really, Ngrams are really great. Okay, how about video games? There's a good one. Video, games, television, radio. No, video. But remember, it stops at 2000. So video games didn't.
Yeah.
And besides, that's probably not, the best term to use. But anyway, you get the idea.
Yeah.
Run your own experiment. Raw data is also available for download, which is kind of cool. All right. I still don't see but apparently today we will see the new algorithmic feed on Twitter. I'm still waiting for that to kick in. But maybe because I live on Twitter. I always have it open. I'm not seeing I'd have to take a day off.
Yeah.
That's what I'll do. I won't use Twitter now for a while. Oh, party's over for Twitter VIPs. Ads back in our feed. I have not seen ads on Twitter in some time. I don't even see promoted trends right now on my Twitter feed. But apparently that's going to be over. Mark Andreessen started seeing promoted tweets just yesterday. Enough Twitter news. Enough Google Books news. Let's see. How about Bandido? Wait, let's take a break and we'll talk about Bandido.
Okay.
Because I'm curious
I
what
can
you
read
think
that
about
story.
Bandido.
I hadn't read that.
I want to know what you think about it.
So what I hadn't read yet, so I got to read that quick.
Yeah. Super Bowl also breaks the record for streaming video. 3.96 million unique viewers. Can we do that on our feeds? Can we get to 4 million simultaneous viewers? Let's try that. I don't know what I would have to do.
You broke the internet.
You broke the internet. Harry's. Let's talk shaving. I'm here with two bearded men. But even when you have a beard, you still shave.
I shaved with Harry's this morning.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm head to
Yep.
toe hair.
Yeah.
I did not, and you can tell.
Pursuit.
You look
You
a
can tell
little
in my
grizzled.
close-up. You can see.
Are you
it.
going for the prospector look? Yeah.
That's a good one.
We
Yeah.
badges. We don't need no badges.
Yes. Show me the gold.
It's gold. Harrys.com/twig, if you want to check it out, is a better way to get a better razor. An amazing shave at an affordable price because they deliver it right to your door. And how do they do that? Well, you're buying it direct from the factory, in effect. Harry's bought the famous razor factory in Germany that's been there almost a century, and they've designed these razors for performance, for price. They deliver them to you, and it all starts with your great Harry's kit. I got a Winston kit, which I love. In fact, I got the winter Winston. I'm glad I got that, the copper Winston. But there's a variety of kits for a variety of prices. You can start as little as the $15 Truman kit. A lot of people like that Truman kit. And once you get the kit, then you can order the blades on a regular basis. And I'm not talking $32 for an 8-pack. It's about half that. They offer customized shaving plans that make it easy to get shave supplies delivered to you on your terms, including the incredible Harry's foaming shaving gel and the Harry's cream. I am a cream guy, but many people like the foaming shaving gel. They both smell fabulous. And Harry's is so confident that you will love your shave. For a limited time, get this, they're ready to let you try it free. As long as you sign up for a shave plan, of course you can cancel that at any time, you're going to get a free kit. You get a cartridge with their beautiful 5-blade German blades and a lubricating strip and a flexible hinge and all of that. Nice ergonomic handle. The foaming shave gel, the travel blade cover for free. Choose your color. I think I'm going to get the forest green. Tell them how often you shave. I shave every day because I'm a hirsute fella. And then you get your trial box, and your next box of gel and blades will ship the following month. Actually, every 2 months. And, of course, you can cancel or modify your plan at any time. Harrys.com/twig. Finally, for those who've been listening, have been wanting to try Harry's, but we're, I don't know what, putting it off. Now you can try it for free.
Do it.
Just do it. Why not?
Do it.
For a limited time, new customers can get a free trial and pay just $3 for shipping by going to harrys.com/twig.
You know, it's so good that after my shower, I can shave without anything.
Wow.
Which doesn't sell you any of the other things Harry sells. Maybe that's not a good pitch. But the razor works very well.
Yeah.
Better than the ones I used to buy in the drugstore.
Yep. Harrys. Harrys.com/twig for your free shave. Actually, you're going to get at least a free week's worth of shaves, maybe more.
We used Harry's to shave me on
we did. I remember
the
that.
New Year's Eve show.
And everybody said, "You're shaving him against the grain. Don't do it, Leo." Are you okay? No ill effects? The beard grew back?
Look. There,
It's beautiful. Actually, your beard looks good.
Yeah, it does.
God, I wish
Dapper.
Lisa would let me grow a beard.
Oh, she won't?
No. It's not the beard she minds. It's the in-between time.
No. Then you see, this is not Harry's, but I do use Harry's for the neck.
Yeah.
But then I use the Norelco Flowbee thing.
Yeah. Well, of course I would use that. I mean, it's just she doesn't like me to be scratchy. She also says, Leo, you're on TV. You cannot have a beard. You have to have your face has to be open to the world. Same reason I wear contact lenses. I don't want anything hiding this punum from your view. This beautiful punum. Oh, well.
How long has it been since you've
Since I shaved my head?
grown a beard? No, grown a beard.
No. Oh, I had a beard in high school, I think.
Yeah?
College, maybe.
I
Should find some old
when I went
pictures.
off to college, I stopped shaving, and the first time I shaved since then was at the Twit Studio.
I know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why do you shave with the grain? I've always shaved up and down. And
I do
everybody
too.
everybody tells me no, you're not supposed to do that.
Oh, well, otherwise I can't get it off.
Yeah. The first time down just gets kind of the top layer, but you
In
got to
fact, I
go
know
up.
with my Harry's, I use Harry's for probably too long, but I know that moment when it doesn't just come right off against the grain.
Yeah.
Time to change the blade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. 3.96 million viewers of Super Bowl 50 on CBS, and none of them saw those commercials.
Well, I watched all the commercials beforehand anyway.
Right, that's true. If you're an internet viewer, you saw the commercials on YouTube, so what do you need to...
Which weren't very impressive this year.
No, they
The
weren't.
game wasn't great either, but the game often is not great because it's such a letdown after all the hype for 2 weeks. The average viewers per minute was 800,000. And the total number of minutes, 213 million, which is interesting that a lot of people watched for more, on average for a long time, 101 minutes, which is an awful lot.
Yeah.
It is.
The prior record was 1.1 million viewers, Super Bowl 2014. And then, I think that was the prior record. I don't know what happened to the year after that. We're getting closer to a world where we don't have to have a cable to watch the stuff we want to watch.
I don't know. I've heard some contrary opinions.
Really?
Yeah. Just yesterday, I think, on NPR, or the day before, I guess, they were talking about this. I'm trying to look it up to see who it was. But, basically, the guy that they had on said, you know what, there's no way, for live sports, there's no way you're ever going to be able to, in the foreseeable future, replace television for live viewers of a live event.
Well, it's true. With 4 million is nothing compared to the,
exactly.
what is it, 200 million that watched.
And at first I was like, no, the internet's great. What are you talking about? And then I was like, oh, yeah, that is a lot of viewers.
That's a lot of simultaneous
How
streams.
do you do that?
110 TV viewers, 110 million TV viewers. So you needed some sort of M-bone solution.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because we had this solution in the early days of the internet. The M-bone was created by university wonks to do better streaming and worked quite well, but it has since been decommissioned. Do you remember the M-bone? Does that ring a bell?
I remember the
it does.
the term.
Yeah.
Multicast backbone. The idea was one server can't serve 100 million people, but what you do is one server serves 10 servers, serves 1,000 servers, and by multicasting, you're able to serve everybody who needs to be served. I guess it's essentially kind of a mesh topology.
Yep. This was Dan Rayburn, by the way, in case people are interested, on NPR.
Oh, yeah, Dan.
He's the executive vice president at streamingmedia.com.
Yeah, and he does a streaming blog, and he raises a good point. But Dan is also a little bit of a he's more conservative in general about this stuff, I think.
Did any of you? I didn't try to use it, but it's not live. But the BitTorrent streaming client.
Yep.
How'd it work?
You used it, or do you not want to admit to it?
No, I was saying, yes, I know what that is. I haven't used it.
No, they've started doing streaming using, which would, I guess, kind of be like a M-bone idea because it's a peer-to-peer
that's what
network.
I'm kind of saying.
Yeah.
Even not live.
Yeah.
But
that might work, actually.
It's distributed distribution.
That's how Skype worked. That's how Kazaa worked before Skype.
That's how Google's going to work pretty soon, apparently.
With
Hangouts.
Hangouts, that's right. They're going to start using a peer-to-peer network.
I wonder whether it'll be good enough for us then.
We for all the years we used Skype, when they weren't owned by Microsoft. Microsoft killed Skype's Supernode feature, but in the years before they were acquired, they had something called a Supernode. But it would only work if you were not behind a router. Then you could be part of a peer-to-peer network because the creators of Skype were the creators of Kazaa before that, and so Skype was initially conceived of as a peer-to-peer network because that seemed to work better. But I would imagine that increases latency. We always used a dedicated port. That was one of the secret things, not secret, but one of the special things that we would do to improve our Skype is to make sure that nobody was getting supernoded. That was as close to a direct point-to-point connection. So supernoding relieves the network maybe, but it doesn't help. I think it doesn't help improve latency. A 1994 Rolling Stones concert from Dallas was the first major cyberspace multicast concert. Mick Jagger opened the concert by saying, "I want to say a special welcome to everyone that's climbed into the internet tonight and has got into the M-bone. And I hope it doesn't all collapse."
Mick Jagger's not the person I want to hear saying that.
Climb into the internet
phrase
and get on my M-bone. I don't know what the total number. It says 50,000 fans were able to watch over
That's
the
pretty
M-bone.
good for 94. If you think back to 94, I mean, That's pretty darn good.
It did require some specialized hardware to do it. So you told me, speaking of cord cutting, and I think Dan's right that live events will be tough.
Live, yeah.
Yeah.
But a lot of what we consume is not in real time. And it was last week, Jeff, that you told me to download Horace and Pete.
Did you do it?
Yeah, I did. Louis C.K.'s $5 an episode. Strange. It was more like theater than a television show.
It is. It's theater. Yeah, yeah.
But the cast was what blew me away, including not only Louis C.K. but Alan Alda,
Steve Buscemi,
Jessica Lange sitting at the bar, Stephen Wright at the end of the bar, Edie Falco. I'll be honest, I didn't get far enough in to see Edie Falco.
So you didn't.
I tried.
Oh, I think it's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
I missed the laugh track.
Episode 2.
It's very dry. It sounds very dry. There's a lot of.
It's Louis C.K. with his.
But it's like a theater with no audience. It's just very.
It is, but it really gets amazing. And the second episode, though it's not a comedy, I had 4 belly laughs.
So there's another episode.
Oh well, yeah, no, this is an ongoing series every week. So the first episode was $5, and then he sent out a funny email. I quoted it in that link there.
So why did the dirty F balls? Why the dirty F balls did I charge you $5 for Horace and Pete? Well, the dirty unmovable fact is this show is effing expensive. Louis C.K. never known for his cleanliness of speech. He has 2 sets, 4 cameras, of course, a great cast, an original theme song by Paul Simon. He says every second the cameras are rolling, money is shooting out of my butt like your mother's worst diarrhea. Basically, this is a handmade, one guy paid for it version of a thing that's usually made by a giant corporation. It's very much like a play. I mean, it's written like a play. It's a little Mammoth-like, maybe.
Well, that was the other great line from I think it was Variety or Hollywood. Hollywood Reporter said, and I'll read this. It starts as a Eugene O'Neill play about 2 brothers running a struggling joint, transitions into a David Mamet drama about political correctness and generational definitions of masculinity, becomes a Norman Lear sitcom about contemporary political attitudes, pivots into a Chekhov saga about an underestimated woman reclaiming the birth rate, and settles into a Mike Leigh kitchen sink dramedy about painful blue-collar family revelations.
I think it's all of that at once, and that's where I was a little unsettled by it.
It's amazing.
It felt like it couldn't figure out what it wanted to be.
No, it's all those things. And the second episode is just beautiful skewering of irony and hipsters. It's a dive bar in Brooklyn, a fight over closing it. Alan Alda is the grumpiest bartender ever on earth.
Alan Alda is wonderful.
He is eating the scenery, man. He is having a ball.
He is wonderful, and he loves the opportunity to say very nasty words.
Yes.
In long strings. Chains of very nasty words. It's Alan Alda as you've never seen him before.
So I'll ruin one thing. So a hipster comes in. The hipsters come in and say, "Whoa, wow, how cool is a big old?" And so one of them goes up to buy a Budweiser. No mixed drinks.
He doesn't buy he doesn't want a Budweiser. He wants like a margarita or something, a gin and tonic.
Well, no. The second episode. So he buys a beer.
Oh, okay.
And he's charged $4.50.
Yeah.
And he says to Alan Alda, "You charged the guy over there $3." And Alan Alda says, pour the beer out under your head. I don't care. It's $4.50. And back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So Louis comes along and says, I'll take care of this. And Louis doesn't back down and charge it. He says, it's $4.50 for you. And the other guy's $3. He says, yeah, he's been here a long time. But why is it $4.50 for me? He said, listen, you got to come in here and you got beer and irony. That guy's been here for years. All he does is get to sit. So the patron says, so you're saying this is a douche tax? Louis says, yes.
Exactly.
He pays the $4.50.
Yeah, but he did get the irony for free.
Yeah.
Oh, my God, that's hysterical.
It's wonderful. There's some great moments like that.
It's not for, I tell you, it's not for everyone.
No, it's not for
even,
everybody.
I'll be honest, not even for necessarily for Louis C.K. fans, because it's not like the show Louis, for instance.
No, it's not. But the observational wry, oh, my God, this world makes no sense to me, worldview, Weltanschauung, is in there.
Yeah, I like it.
It's written, directed, produced by him.
There's some stuff. There's some. For one thing, Louis always feels like he forgot his line and he's looking for it and then says it. I can't quite figure out what it is about his demeanor. He's not a natural actor.
Hey, chat room, did any of you watch it?
Yeah, some did. Guy Smiley says it has very strong language.
Just
Guy
like me.
Smiley.
By the way, had it been a comedy, P.S. Chop says he should have said, well, in that case, I'll take a beer, hold the irony.
Do we know how many of these? I'm just looking at the prices. It's $5 for the first one and $2 for the
he
second
says,
one.
And he's going to do $3 from then on. The people have
It's kind of like the beer thing. He's just charging whatever the hell he feels like it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's tough for me to swallow. Not that that's an incredible amount of money, and I guess if the show was
It's a
worth it, I
fair
would
amount
pay
of
for
money.
it.
In fact, I was
But
thinking
if
if I
you
were
were
going to the
buying a
movies,
play-
I'd pay 3 times.
Yeah.
That
Yeah, if you were
movie
buying a
ticket.
play, the first episode is 107 minutes.
Yeah, it's long.
And it is a play.
It could be shorter, actually.
Well, that's a good question.
I don't know.
I'm disappointed you didn't like it. I'm sorry.
I didn't hate it. I didn't finish it.
Did Lisa watch it?
No, it's definitely not her cup of tea.
No? Really?
She's not a big fan of irony.
Yes, salespeople, but money people generally aren't. Yes.
Yeah, she's not. I think there's a certain personality
Yeah, I got it. I got
that
it,
enjoys this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it is very much like a play. I mean,
Oh, it is.
If you think
Very
of it as not a TV show, and at first you look at it and say, "Oh, there's going to be Cheers." It's not Cheers.
No, it's not. There's no norm. No.
Yeah, it's a play.
It is.
But what I do like, and I really enjoyed, was that you feel like you're looking in on a creative process. That you have these very talented actors and Louis just said, "Hey, let's get together and do something," and you feel like you're kind of in on something that they're creating on the spot, which is nice.
And the key here is, and this is the reason I wrote a column about it. The key here is that kind of Mickey and Judy, hey kids, let's put on a show in the barn. He could do it on his own, right? Now he could only do that because he has the fame that big old media brought him by being a star. That's true. That's the Howard Stern's argument against podcasts, is that you can't be big unless you were already big. Yeah, to an extent. Nonetheless, as he says, this isn't made by a big corporation.
Right.
It didn't need to be. He can make whatever the F he wants, and he can charge you for it, and you can curse at him or not. He doesn't care. There it is.
Right. Yeah, well, I hope he does well with it.
I like it.
We could have probably saved him some money if he wanted to shoot it here. I think that he's probably paying Hollywood prices.
Right.
It's not that expensive to have a 4-camera shoot. And our lighting would have been better. Frankly, his lighting was not very good. But other than that...
And the set wasn't expensive.
No, it's a cheap set.
That was the point, yeah.
Yeah. But it doesn't look like a cheap set, but it looks like a set. Looks like a play. It really looked like a play.
Oh, it is. It is.
Yeah.
And as I said last week, there are very current 2-day-old references in it. He shot it right before.
I know. That was kind of wild. He's talking about they say, the Iowa caucuses are tomorrow. I mean, it was very, like, oh, they just must have done this yesterday.
Yeah.
I think they did that. They must have done that in advance.
No, because he mentioned stuff that happened. Yeah, did you see the debates? And
Oh, really?
yeah.
Wow.
Which is really interesting.
That's pretty
Yeah,
fast.
so he's doing it with I think he's doing it basically live to tape.
Yeah, it looks
Yeah.
like it's done live to tape.
Huh.
Although there's obviously some rehearsal involved and stuff. And I'm sure those actors aren't cheap. Although I would expect he could go to them and say, I want to do something interesting. You want to do it for scale?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're doing that. Yeah.
So Bandito is an interesting idea. It's basically the Washington Post. Remember, the Washington Post was purchased by Jeff Bezos. And as you would expect, Bezos is bringing in some digital content stuff. This is very much like the A/B testing that websites do.
Exactly.
Bandito promotes the version of the story with the most popular headline and images. So when editors enter in an article into the digital part, obviously the newspaper doesn't do this, but then digital part of their website, the editor can use different versions of the articles, different headlines, different images, different teaser text. The technology offers it up in a variety of ways to viewers and then decides which one is the most successful and starts serving that version more frequently on the homepage. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
So what's new here is the fact that they're doing this automatically without
They have a tool.
without intervention.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's also, I think, people do A/B testing, but you don't do it like all the time. But this is kind of institutionalized it into their workflow, so they just do it all the time. I wonder if BuzzFeed or Vice has something like that.
Oh, I'm sure. Yes, absolutely. And I get the difference here that says in the story is that it kind of does it automatically.
Right.
Right. The first iteration of the tool optimizes content based purely on the number of clicks, but the company hopes soon to factor in other metrics, including how much time readers spend after they click reading. This isn't just about clicks, says Sam Hahn, engineering director of data science. How many newspapers have an engineering director of data science?
I know.
Clickbait works for a while, but not long term. I like hearing that. Engagement is a better metric to focus on, but we're not going to optimize just to that. We'll find a good balance. Wow. You got to figure.
Issue to me. Go ahead.
You got to figure that Jeff put him on a plane and flew him over to the Post and said, "Hey, help these guys."
I mean, I'm delighted that Bezos is investing in the Post. I wish they were more public and more generous in sharing what they're learning with other newspapers. I understand kind of why they're not, but the only real competition they have is the New York Times. Everybody else is another world. And it's really neat that they are competing heavily with the New York Times. They a couple months ago gained more U.S. audience than the Times. As the Times goes more international, and look at what happened to the Times. The Times was a huge paper in New York. It's not that big a paper in New York now. It's a national paper. As the Times becomes international, the Post becomes the national paper. And that's very, very interesting. The only problem I have here is there's still, this is true of every damn media company out there, they're still shooting for page views, and page views inevitably leads you down the road to cats and Kardashians, and we've got to move up to higher level relationships.
Well, this is, to me, this is a little bit of a red light here, this quote.
Yes.
We have to be more careful in that area because they're talking about measuring. Bandido may even begin to factor in other more detailed information about Post readers into its decision-making, such as whether or not a user is an existing subscriber and types of content they've engaged in within the past, kind of like the, algorithmic feed. They give you more of the stuff you like. We will be more careful in that area, says Hahn, because of privacy, and then this is the thing that worries me, and because we need to be sure we're providing right-leaning and left-leaning content equally.
Well, I can argue that both ways, because I can also say that that's the false balance of one from column A, one from column B, Chinese menu journalism. If the right has not, or if the left has nothing smart to say today and nothing major to say today, why do you have to equal out the number of left column inches to the number of right column inches? I understand the argument. It's a filter bubble argument that says that
what if the Boston Globe only showed those articles about the priests' molestations to non-Catholics, just to avoid controversy?
Well, you shouldn't do that. That would be
That would be wrong.
Yeah, that'd be wrong. And here's the way a smart editor I know, I work with in New Jersey, stood at a whiteboard a couple of years ago. We had this discussion, and he said, "Listen, right now we serve everybody 100% the same thing." And he said, "What if we could just get 20% of that that's more relevant to you? The other 80% is what editors choose still. Fine."
Oh, right? That might be all right.
But just 20% is more relevant to you. Or maybe even
50-50, or even in the other way. 80% relevant and 20% outside the filter bubble.
But you're still going to have things that editors say to you. You
need to know this. You may not want to know about it, but you need to know.
You may not read it, but we're going to present it to you. That's always going to be the case in these products. And I don't mean to take away that editorial prerogative, but there is tons of noise that is irrelevant to me, number one. Number two, there's also too much content. The Guardian, which I work with in full disclosure and dearly love, produces 400 to 600 pieces of content a day. Now, in no rational world can you imagine that a reader is going to come in and I saw it all and I'm sated now. No, you've got to do a better job of giving people greater relevance within that structure.
Well, I mean, I think it's not a direct parallel here, but what you're saying, I mean, when I use Google's news app, they say, "Are you interested in this?" We've noticed that you've been searching for this. They don't say that something pops up that I was searching on, over the past week a lot. Something will pop up and it says, "Are you interested in this?" And a lot of times it's stuff from my kids that I'm not interested in, and then I can click yes or no. And it's not the whole. That actually is about 20% of the headlines feed. Is that here's suggestions for you based on your interests, and the rest is world headlines, U.S. headlines, blah 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 blah. But I like the way they do it. I actually like that because then I can say yes, I'm interested in Raspberry Pi.
This is another example of. And there are a lot of examples in technology of things the end user loves, but may not be good for him.
Right, yeah.
So the real issue is it is in everybody's interest, except for society's, that you only see stuff you agree with. You'll be happier. You'll click more. You'll buy more products. Everybody will be happier if we just eliminate all that irritation.
Right.
But that's not what we want.
But you may end up ignorant.
Yeah, but you will be. Yeah, you won't have any idea what's really going on because you're only seeing stuff you agree with.
Yep.
I do worry a little bit about that. I'm not like you. I kind of dismissed Eli Pariser's article arguments in the filter bubble because I felt like you, Jeff, that the real value and promise of the internet is that we are exposed to far more than we ever got exposed to before. But if algorithmically, this is like ad tech.
That's exactly.
This is why we can't have nice things.
And we haven't done it with content.
This is why we can't have nice things because then algorithmically they figure out, it's just irritating to show these guys stuff that they don't like. Making them angry.
I think you're being typically dystopian. I think that our business has done a terrible, terrible job of giving us relevance. It treats us as a mass. It gives us a one-size-fits-all product. It has to move this way. Now, the question is, what signals does it use and how does it use them? I'm not a sports fan. Stop wasting your time trying to promote sports to me. I'm not going to want it unless I go searching for it. I actually like media stories. I like stories about Google. How nice to me if there's a story buried in the Wall Street Journal or the New York Times about Google. I would like it to raise that to my attention. That's a perfectly fine thing to do.
I just worry when the marketing department gets a seat at the editorial table.
It's actually the opposite. The marketing department's been doing this for years. Now, finally, the editorial is going to use these skills and tools for the benefit of the user.
Good. From your mouth to marketing's ear.
And so, what my wish for the Washington Post and Bezos' involvement has long been, from the day it was announced he was buying it, I argue that we've got to shift to a relationship-based strategy in news, and Bezos and relevance and value. And Bezos understands relevance built on relationship data better than anybody there is. And so those are the skills I want to see him bring to the Post. Now, you can do this badly, right? Programmatic and retargeting advertising. You look at Amazon, you look at those boots follow you around for 6 weeks, long after you bought the friggin' boots.
Yeah.
That's a bad implementation of what otherwise could be a useful technology.
I think most of the time when people don't like ad customization is because it's because the algorithms suck.
Mm-hmm.
If it did it well, they wouldn't even know it's happening, and they just go, God, I love it because I only see ads for stuff I'm about to buy.
Yeah.
But it doesn't. Computers aren't that smart yet.
Yep.
All right. I agree. We're all in agreement here. Sundar Pichai got a nice little bonus. The new CEO of Google. I love the article in The Verge by Michael Singleton. Sundar Pichai is having a better February than you are. 270,000 shares of restricted stock, currently worth $199 million. It's the largest.
I wonder what the vesting period is.
Yeah. It's the largest equity stake given to an executive officer whose grants have been publicly fired in the company's history. So what you're saying is they're often, with this kind of stock award, there are often restrictions on how quickly he can capitalize on it.
Right. So you have one of two things. You either have options or you have restricted. Restricted is a gift to him at a date in the future.
Yeah, these are restricted stock. That's interesting. They're not options. So options is an option to buy it at a price, usually a strike price that's lower than the current price. That's the theory anyway. But a restricted stock gift means you, have some stock. Right. And, of course, it'll go up and down. And typically you'd say you get 20% in the first year, another 20% every year thereafter, till the fifth year when you've finally vested 100%.
Or in some cases they do it. It's just 5 years out, and it's a lump sum.
You don't get any of it.
We kept you here for 5 years.
Yeah.
And the only problem is that you were getting it from, because it's not an option. You paid nothing for it, so you have to pay taxes on the full value of what you acquire, which means that's when you see executives sell stock in their own company. It's often to pay the taxes on a reward like that because it's a lump sum. It's boom.
Yeah,
it's a very nice thing to get.
Yeah, you get $200 million, but you got to give the government half.
Yep.
Yeah.
Company also gave the CFO, Ruth Porat, $38.3 million in stock.
She's been earning her keep.
Yeah, you bet. And Diane Green, the head of the cloud business, $42.8 million. So they're all doing nicely. Those are based on Google's current price. Of course, if Google's stock value goes up, so will their. It says Pichai and Porat's stock awards will vest in quarterly increments through 2019. So it's only 3 years.
Wow.
2019, okay.
So not only is Google the most valuable company,
it's got the richest
in the world,
executives.
the richest executives.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Arguably.
Nice work if you can get it. We're going to take a break, come back with more. Aaron Newcomb is here from NetApp, regular on many of our shows, including he's brought a little maker thing.
Yes, I always bring a project.
Including Floss Weekly and the new screensavers. We'll see that as your pick of the week.
That is. Yep.
Okay, good.
That's my project.
I have a makery pick myself.
I don't.
And Jeff,
I'm clumsy. I can't build anything.
What do you still have your 3D doodler pen?
Oh yeah, somewhere.
You ever use that? You ever break it out and say, I think I'm going to bring...
About as often as I use my Google Glass, yeah.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say that. It's not nice. It's a very nice device, but
I also have a cabinet of lost toys.
Oh, do you ever? Oh, do you ever?
I bought remember the book light that you got on the Kickstarter, and I got the cheap Chinese clone? It's pretty nice, bamboo. It looks like a book. In fact, Lisa was, that. I love that. Mine has a bamboo cover. Lisa saw it on my bedside table, and she said, what's this? And she thought, oh, it's his journal. Let me read it. And he opened it up, and it was a big light. It's a big light.
I was just going to, in fact, turn it on.
Earlier, we did a triangulation with the founder of Sphero, the guy who invented the Sphero and the BB-8 and stuff. And he gave me his business card. This is the coolest thing ever. I don't want to. It's a circuit board, pre-punched breadboard that you could then add the components to. And he showed me a picture. He made a car out of it. That you turn on the light on your smartphone and it follows the light.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know what it can do. I don't know where the specs are, but what a good idea for a business card.
Yeah. I was going to do that, and I did the paper one. Remember that?
Yeah.
I've still got it in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Paper was a lot cheaper for me to do.
I'm seeing more and more.
Those are expensive.
I would imagine this is $5 a business card.
You don't get those at Vistaprint.
Makes me jealous though.
Yeah, they're cool.
Yeah. Who gave us was it Kevin Mitnick? I think Kevin Mitnick's business card is a lockpick set.
Yeah, yes, it is, yes. Yep.
Legal in some states. Wouldn't that be weird if your business card were illegal in the state of California? Our show today brought to you by NatureBox. Oh, is it snack time? Yay! Yay! Poor Jeff was ripped off. We sent him his Fez in a NatureBox because we had some left over. And he got all excited. Don't let this happen to you, children. Make sure that when you get your NatureBox, it's filled with delicious snacks from NatureBox. In fact, 50% off your first box right now at naturebox.com/twit. When hunger strikes, don't reach for that stale bag of chips or the candy bar in the machine down the hall. Be prepared. It's good for your health with smart and delicious snacks from NatureBox. Italian bistro pretzels. This is just our current box. Watermelon mini stars. Cranberry medley. Pomegranate and acai flavored dried cranberry. Wow, it's apt to try that with blueberries. Oh, I love this one. The blueberry Greek yogurt pretzels. Now, some of them are sweet. Some of them are savory. Some of them are spicy, and you can pick. They have over 100 snacks. Do you want this one? Salt and pepper pistachios. Those are good for you. Hey, we just had, you know what? You guys just arrived at the perfect time. It's NatureBox time. Which snack would you like? You got a preference? You want watermelon stars? You want cranberry medley? The Italian bistro pretzels? Anything. They're all good. All right, give them this. And you know what? Where are you guys from? Sacramento. Well, congratulations. You have something to fuel your trip back. And so can you, my friends. Go to naturebox.com/twit to get 50% off your first box now. Golden apple tea biscuits. I don't even know what that is, but I want them. If you like spicy, this is one I can eat. And you can too. Sriracha roasted cashews.
Ooh, that sounds good.
You know what I do with cashews is I actually make salad dressing by blending them up. But I love to use the Nature Box flavored cashews.
Yeah.
Because then it's a really good dress. It's like sriracha flavored. Go there and fill out your snack profile and get personalized recommendations based on your preferences. They have, of course, vegan options, no sugar added, non-GMO, gluten-free. What do you like them? They're really good. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. 50% off and free shipping when you go to naturebox.com/twit. Get the 5 or 10 snack box. Actually, don't get the 5 snack box. That's just a recipe for disappointment. Get the biggest box you can. naturebox.com/twit. So I've been playing with my Echo. Have you played with the Echo at all for your Maker stuff?
Nope, not yet.
And we had somebody in on Sunday who works at AWS, and he said, have you written any Echo commands? And I said, you can write them yourself? He said, oh, yeah, you just go on Lambda, AWS Lambda, and there's a whole API. You can write them in any language you want. He was using Node.js. You can use Python, Ruby, anything you want. You write them, and so you can have your own private commands, or if it works well, you can publish them. And obviously, Amazon's doing that because the Echo commands are going crazy. They just added Domino's Pizza and Ubers, so you can say, Echo, get me a car. It'll use your Uber account, and the car will pull up.
Yep.
Love this.
Yep. A friend of mine does his whole shopping list that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yep.
Because we have an Echo in the kitchen and the bedroom. So Lambda, do you know about AWS Lambda? Because I had never heard of this before. It's kind of a neat idea. It lets you run code, but you don't have to provision a server. So normally, like on AWS, you would spin up a Linux instance, and it'd be yours. But Lambda you pay only for the compute time you consume.
Right. Which is awesome, especially for developers. If you're starting a company, starting a new app, anything like that, right? You don't want to have to even bother setting up your own instance and have it running without using it most of the time, right? You just want to run your code, have it work. I think this is great. I think it's great that Google is jumping on board here too.
Well, that's the story, but let me just finish this. So the reason that's great for the Echo, and somebody wants to just do something, is it doesn't cost you anything unless there's a fixed cost of whatever 1/10 of 1 cent per command.
But it's going to be minuscule.
It's minuscule, and you don't have to pay to spin up a server all month long to issue a few commands. So Google, seeing the success of this, says we're going to do our own. It's called the Google Cloud Platform. It's called a Google Cloud Functions. You can set up functions that get triggered in response to certain events, much like Lambda. Now, they say this is in alpha, and you have to get access by filling out a form, and they will grant you access. No blog post, no tweet, but thanks to VentureBeat, we know that they're doing this.
This comes up. Remember we talked about Werner Vogel's column that he wrote about 2 months ago?
Remind me.
It was. I'm just trying to find it. It's. He was arguing. It's kind of how in the web separated content from presentations. This separates code from server.
Yeah.
And it goes to kind of a radically distributed view. And in a content perspective, you could have content that sits out there as a blob of content that doesn't really have an address or doesn't have anything. It starts to get you to Werner is a brilliant unsung guy, and it gets you to rethink a lot of how this operates.
Oh, we live in an amazing world. Java Man in our chat room actually reminds me that the first 1 million requests on Lambda are free. So unless you write a very elaborate, you must have to write the most popular Echo command ever. Somebody's written a fart machine, different farts every time you ask for it. That might be exceeding the 1 million request. But after
is there a directory of things you can just put on yours?
If you go to your Amazon account, well, do you have an Echo?
No, I don't.
Well, let me go to my Amazon account and I can show you. It is exploding. Wow. Partly because it's so easy and inexpensive to do this. There's no reason not to. I mean, if you have an idea. So let me look at my Echo. Or maybe I have to go to devices. I always...
You go to the Echo website.
Oh, there's an Echo. Not on Amazon?
No, it's got its own...
it's got its own site?
Yeah, it's where you can access.
Because I also use the I'm trying to find the site. I also use the app. There's an app. That's the easiest way to do it.
Oh, there you go. I was just going to say, I mean, I'd rather have it on
Alexa.amazon.com.
They'd have to be in the same room with the device.
Yeah, so the app, so when I keep a Kindle Fire next to my Alexa, because it shows the apps, and then actually you can then vote. It says, did I do a good job? You say yes or no. Here you go.
So the skills tier.
Here it is. I got it. Fart for me. Oh, this is because I asked for it. So here you go. I said fart for me, and it didn't. So I can say, did Alexa do what you wanted? No. But that's probably because I didn't turn on the skill. So let's go here and look. It is such a long thing now. There are 24 pages of skills. Daily affirmation, rock, paper. You could play rock, paper, scissors. I play Jeopardy. I'll give you 6 Jeopardy questions. That's official. That's from the BART status. You could say, what's the BART status? There's a Super Bowl trivia quiz. Alexa, open the magic door. Oh, I'm sorry. Didn't need to say that out loud.
Let me make
You're
it
in deep trouble now. There's a magic 8-ball. Let me search for.
I think you should have an Alexa on the desk as part of the show.
I'm thinking I'm going to buy one for So here it is. Alexa, ask for a fart. What's enabled? I just didn't ask for a fart the right way. So next time I will say, Alexa, ask for a fart. Oh, I'm sorry. I said it again.
See, if we bring one into the studio, though, Leo,
we'll name it Amazon.
We'll know when we accidentally trigger it.
Yeah,
because it'll just keep going on.
And blinking. Okay, I'm going to order one right now.
But no, you did notice there was an update to the terms and agreements on the AWS.
Oh.
Yeah, it's in the rundown. They had a big change in the terms.
Oh, no.
One of the things they included is, where'd it go? So it talks about you can't use it for nuclear facilities, manned spacecraft, or military use in connection with live combat. However,
fair enough.
However, this restriction will not. Let me put it up here.
Apparently, you can't. There's a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah,
reference.
this restriction will not apply in the event of the occurrence certified by the United States Center of Disease Control or successor body
of a widespread viral infection transmitted via bites or contacted with bodily fluid that causes human corpses to reanimate and seek to consume living flesh, blood, brain, or nerve tissue, and is likely to result in the fall of organized civilization. In that case, have at it. I love it. I love it.
I was thinking about that today. I wonder whether you have a joke like that in there with the lawyers. Did that have to go up to Jeff Bezos to approve?
I would be mad if I were Jeff Bezos and I didn't get to approve that.
Didn't know about that, yeah.
Amazon also announced something new called Lumberyard that I am very intrigued by. This is a game platform. So it's a free cross-platform 3D game engine, tightly integrated with Twitch. Remember, Amazon acquired Twitch. Everybody was thought, what are they going to do with that? It has, plugins galore. Here's game-ready wilderness assets in case you need to build a forest scene. Beach City asset package, including 1950s jukeboxes and others. This is fascinating to me. So if you're a game dev or a kid, see, this is what I find interesting. If you're a kid who wants to develop games, Amazon's just going to basically enable this for you. Wow.
I'm impressed.
Yeah. Ready to use art assets. You don't even have to be a designer. You can, you don't. I wouldn't know how to design a woodland forest. But you don't have to. Just download the textures and you're set.
They even support multiplayer games.
Yeah. We live in, like I said, this is an amazing time to be a kid because you can, and I think it's probably a fairly logical step from doing Minecraft. And then you get about 18 or 19 and you say, I want to do something, 3D rendered, first-person shooter.
Realistic.
Yeah.
Yep.
And because it works with Twitch, you're kind of already socially enabled.
I'm going to have to play around with this. I love doing, map development for games and things like that. I always found that really interesting. So, and my kids now are picking that up with Minecraft and with other games. They're like, hey, could I make my own map for this game? Or, could I make a multiplayer map that my friends can get on? And so they're getting into it too. And this sounds really cool.
And again, like all AWS services, in case of zombie attack, you could continue to use the game engine and run nuclear generators or this lumberyard is kind of mind-boggling. They have the Crytek engine, and that's for Crisis, right? That's the best. That's one.
That's one of the best ones. I mean,
you're getting access to the top of the line.
Yeah.
Engine.
Yeah, for sure. Unreal Engine is probably the most popular. And they recently announced that they were not for they would give away for free up to a certain point, and then when you start taking revenue, you owe some money. But you can get started for free on Unreal Engine 4 now.
This says free to download, no seat fees, no subscription fees, no requirement to share revenue.
No requirement to share revenue.
It's free.
Huh.
And then it has Twitch chat play. You can use drag and drop visual scripting to create gameplay features that let Twitch viewers use chat to impact the game they're watching. So this is probably similar to technology that they use on Twitch when Twitch plays Pokemon.
Yeah.
So that the chat actually talks to the Cry engine.
Yeah, so it's saying that Amazon will make money off Amazon Web Services that developers use to build or support their games. That's how they're going to make money. They give this away for free, and they say, "Oh, well, you're going to need a place to run it, so run it on AWS."
Wow.
GameLift has $1.50 per 1,000 daily active user fee, in addition to standard fees for any other Amazon Web Services used, like S3 or whatever.
What language do I write things? Is it C++ or is there a scripting language?
I know. Is it all GUI? Is it all... The images make it look like it's all GUI, but it can't be, right?
They do have a managed service that you pay for deploying, operating, and scaling server-based online games using AWS GameLift, and that's going to cost you. But affordable. $1.50 per 1,000 daily active users. Amazing. You know, I wish I had the skills to use this kind of stuff. But I'm sure there are kids, if you're watching, learn to write code.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
When I left...
or design games.
Well, or maybe not, because everything's going to become modular.
Maybe don't even need to write code.
You may not.
Yeah.
There's going to have to be something you need to... Some logic you need to add to your game. But this looks really good. I'm going to have to give this a try. I told you I would like to do maps and things for games. I did a Half-Life map. When I left one of my jobs, it was a copacetic. I was leaving the job, go someplace else, and they said, "What do you want to do for your last day?" And I said, I'm going to make a map of the office, and we're all going to get on. I'm going to come around and load Half-Life on all the computers, and we're all just going to have a big gaming day.
Oh, what fun!
It was awesome, you know. And someone's like, "I'm in the conference room." It's like, "Are you really in the conference room?" No, I'm on the game in the conference room.
Oh,
and it was a blast. I still have that map around someplace, but
so you use the tool within Half-Life to make.
I did.
They have
I used
a
the
mapping tool, right?
Yep.
Is that fairly easy to use?
Well, this has been ages, right? This was 2000, I guess, when I did this. So it was ages ago, and it was not easy to use. It took hours and hours and hours.
Yeah.
But it was fun.
I think it's probably gotten a lot easier.
Yeah. Yep.
It's the end of Flash as we know it. Thank God. Finally, Google's display ads will be all HTML5 by January 2017. This means, I mean, it doesn't mean Flash won't appear elsewhere, but Google does drive a lot of the advertising on the net. No more punch the monkey, kids, unless you could do it in HTML5.
Yeah, that's goodness right there.
Although, AdWords does have automatic converters. So many people will just take their Flash ads and convert them to HTML5. It is really the beginning. Even Adobe is acknowledging that Flash is gone. Speaking of ad blocking, were we? Always. Google had initially, as you may remember, pulled apps like AdBlock Fast, stalling updates for others in the Google Play Store. The folks who developed AdBlock Fast appealed, and now Google has reapproved and republished its app to Google Play, perhaps reversing their decision to block ad blocking in the Play Store.
I wish they'd block the blocking, but...
Block the blocking?
Too much to ask, yep.
Yeah, but the problem is it looks like a conflict of interest. It just reaffirms what everybody says. Oh, Google's an ad company. Of course they're not.
Well, they are. They are.
Well, Samsung's pulling an Apple. They're doing a content blocker API for the Samsung browser on their phones. I think the message is clear. People want to be able to block ads. Google's got to figure out a better way. Maybe AMP is it. Maybe AMP is the solution. Putin's internet czar.
Isn't that a job?
Do you call the head of the internet in Russia a czar?
Oh, what the heck?
What the heck? German Klemenko. He was named Putin's internet advisor 6 weeks ago, and he's been in an interview peppered with expletives. He's been slashing out at American tech companies. Klemenko said forcing Google and Apple to pay more taxes and banning Microsoft Windows from government computers are necessary measures, according to Bloomberg Business, which apparently unwilling or unable to repeat the language Klemenko used, but he explained it in terms of barnyard economics and marital infidelity. If you can figure that out.
Use your imagination.
We are breeding the cow, says Klemenko. We are breeding the cow, and they are milking it.
Breeding no cow.
What? Are you breeding a cow, and then we're milking it? Of course, they want to, raise taxes on U.S. companies so that Russian competitors like Yandex and Mail.ru can succeed by offering a less expensive service. When you buy an app from Google Play or the App Store anywhere in Europe, VAT is charged, value-added tax, at the place of payment, but not here in our banana republic. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Well, if you can't compete, tax.
We were talking about the Forbes list of richest men in the world, or richest people in the world. And Calacanis on Twitter said, yeah, but the number one richest person in the world is not on that list. It's Vladimir Putin, because he basically owns Russia. And I guess you could say that in a way. A class action lawsuit, accusing Google of CAPTCHA fraud has been...
How about a stupid suit?
Has been dismissed out of hand. The lawsuit alleges fraud because Google sometimes requires people wanting a free Gmail account to fill out a 2-word CAPTCHA. CAPTCHA is that thing where you can hardly read the words, but in theory, a computer program couldn't read it at all. So it's a way of detecting whether you're a human or some automated process generating lots of Gmail accounts. The class action said Google is committing fraud by forcing people opening a Gmail account to decipher the 2 words because... This is actually kind of interesting. The second word is actually a word that they can't OCR, and they want you to actually do this. This came out of Carnegie Mellon. This was the really clever idea to do 2-word CAPTCHAs. One word is really generated by the computer. They know what it is. But the other one comes from an attempt to OCR, perhaps with Google Books or whatever, or Maps trying to decipher a street sign. It can't figure it out, so it puts it in the CAPTCHA, and some human will actually say, oh, yeah, that looks like Main Street.
Well, how many times have you seen those ones that look like house numbers?
Oh, yeah.
You know that's coming from Google Maps, where they can't figure out what this house is.
Yep. I've been getting those more and more often lately.
Yeah.
Photos. And then that feels a little creepy. Like, to me, interpreting what the word is felt like, oh, I'm doing my civic duty, I'm helping to interpret what this word is. And then when they started doing the photos of people's addresses, I'm like, this is just creepy. I feel like a stalker. I don't want to tell you what that guy's house number is. Someone's going to, abduct him or something.
U.S. District Judge Jacqueline Scott Corley dismissed the suit, saying plaintiff has not alleged any facts that plausibly suggest the few seconds it takes to type a second word is something for which a reasonable consumer would expect to receive compensation. Google's behavior is not immoral and oppressive because the harm...
The fact that the judge had to go that far to point that out.
Excuse me, this is not immoral and oppressive because the harm, if any, of typing a single word without knowledge of how Google profits from such conduct does not outweigh the benefit. Man, the
This
courts
also plays to that
getting
ridiculous meme of if you
you're
don't
not
pay, you're the product.
Yeah. Yeah. If it's free, you're the product. Yeah, we can just stop that. Can we just stop saying that? I'm seeing it more now.
Yeah, I know, I am too.
Google's profit is not the judge writes, is not the only benefit the court considers in this balancing test. Completing the prompt also entitles users to a free Gmail account.
Ta-da!
Hello? Moreover, users' transcriptions increase the utility of other free Google services such as Google Maps or Google Books. Plaintiff has failed to allege how these numerous benefits outweigh the few seconds it takes to transcribe one word. My God, this judge actually sounds intelligent.
Yeah.
Silly plaintiff.
Silly
plaintiff.
Eric Goldman, a professor at Santa Clara University School of Law, says the decision ranks as one of the most interesting internet law rulings so far in 2016. Well, it's only February. Yeah. Give it time.
Where was this tried? Where was this?
In San Francisco.
Oh, okay, that's why. Like they obviously bring this suit to Texas. No offense, Texans.
It has come to our attention that Google is using our citizens on behalf of their own evil plans to take over the world. The final quote from Judge Corley, as Google suggests, it strains credulity that plaintiff or class members would forego access to a free Gmail account and higher quality Google Books or Google Maps because their brief transcription of a single word might indirectly or directly facilitate Google's profit earning.
Who
brought
this suit? I didn't look for that part.
It's good she's not a judge in the United States. In the United States of Germany, of Germany. It says
who brought this suit?
Noah Schubert, a San Francisco lawyer, or Boston attorney Patrick Vallely, and I don't know who was in the class. You know what? Lawyers are always looking for something to do when there's spare time. Hey, got a couple of hours. Maybe I should file. Gabriela Rojas Lozano, individually and on behalf of all other persons similarly situated, plaintiff versus Google. Plaintiff.
The amount of money that's wasted on that.
Alleges the following facts upon personal knowledge as to herself and her own acts. Google, she says, it's just too much trouble and they're making money on this. I love it that the judge just said, yeah, forget it. A resident of Williamstown, Massachusetts. In August 24, while living in Massachusetts, Ms. Rojas Lozano signed up for a new Gmail account and had to type 2 words. My God.
So is everybody who has a Gmail account then a member of that
in the
class?
Hell yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's when you get that little thing in the mail and it says, you may be a party to this lawsuit. You could get 25 cents.
It was actually in Massachusetts this was pursued. So Google had to fly a lawyer all the way out there. Now we want some money back. I love this one. Speaking of the government, the National Highway Transportation Safety Administration. Google asked them, the NHTSA, for USNHTSA, asked them for a ruling on autonomous vehicles. Who's the driver? Who's driving the car? It's actually the letter. If you read the letter, is great. Let me load it up. I have it here in the show notes because I really enjoyed the letter. Google wants clarification from an interpretation from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration regarding a number of provisions in the federal motor vehicle safety standards as they apply to Google. Google describes its vehicles a level 4 vehicle, autonomous full self-driving vehicle, is designed to perform all safety-critical driving functions and monitor roadware conditions for an entire trip. Such a design anticipates that the driver will provide destination or navigation input, but is not expected to be available for control at any time during the trip. Both occupied and unoccupied vehicles, by design, safe operation rests solely on the automated vehicle system. Google told the board that we found that humans didn't improve things. For vehicles with an AI driver, we preclude any occupant from assuming the driving a task. So who's the driver? And they came back with an interpretation. Google said there are 3 ways you could interpret this, or 2 potential interpretations of driver and 1 potential interpretation for driver position. 1, the NHTSA could interpret the term driver as meaningless for the purposes of Google's self-driving vehicles, since there's no human driver, and consider FMVSS provisions that refer to a driver simply as inapplicable to Google's vehicle design. There's no steering wheel or brake or gas. They can't drive. Or they could interpret driver and operator as referring to the software of the self-driving vehicle. Or 3, they could interpret the driver's position or some designated seating position as referring to the left front onboard seating position, regardless of whether the occupant of that position is able to control the vehicle. In other words, you'd be the driver even though you couldn't drive, just because you're sitting there. So it's a fascinating thing to read. And actually, again, this is another case of government getting it right. They went on and on. They talked about the pros and cons and basically decided, you know who's the driver? The software's the driver. And for purposes of the law, the actual self-driving system is the driver.
We could have just sent him the definition for autonomous. It's called an autonomous vehicle for a reason.
But you understand why Google wanted this clarification.
Oh, sure,
I mean, it has to do with insurance. It has to do with liability.
That means Google's liable.
The
driver caused an accident.
Right.
Who's the driver? The algorithm's the driver. Who did the algorithm?
Right.
Hello, Google.
Mm-hmm.
So will Google self-insure?
There's still. This is the senior analyst for Kelley Blue Book, Carl Brower, asked exactly these questions. If the NHTSA is prepared to name artificial intelligence as a viable alternative to human-controlled vehicles, it could streamline the process of putting autonomous vehicles on the road.
It's a Turing test Turing never thought of.
The next question is whether and how Google could certify that the self-driving system meets a standard developed and designed to apply to a vehicle with a human driver. Actually, this is the NHTSA talking. Google is still evaluating the response. It took me a while to read it. And they've said they'll likely partner with established automakers to build self-driving cars.
Yeah, so it's not going to be Google that gets in trouble. It's going to be Toyota or...
I've been reading the manual for the car that I will someday get called a Tesla. And the self-driving stuff. And it says there is a sensor in the steering wheel that will sense whether your hand's on the steering wheel. And you need to keep your hands on the steering wheel or the self-driving capability will disengage. That's how Tesla solves this, is saying you're the driver.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But are you steering at that moment?
No. But you must be touching the wheel. And they have a summon feature where you're not in the car. You summon the car. It pulls out of the garage and picks you up.
Is that working already?
Oh, yeah. And but they say do not use this anywhere but your driveway because it's illegal. Outside of your driveway. But you can use, there's videos on YouTube of this happening. The woman who...
It's a little scary since the car is so silent.
Well, and then what's interesting, it moves really slowly. It'll also park. Not only parallel, but it'll do perpendicular parking. So if you can't get out, if you look at a space and say, well, if I park there, I'm not going to be able to get out. You just get out of the car and you say, park in there. Mm. And I've seen videos, and it moves very slowly, but it just... Now who's the driver, Captain Phillips?
Jeez.
I like how it plugs itself in.
Yeah, that's not... Cool. I don't think that's actually working yet, but I think that would be very cool.
That's the idea of the summoned car across the country.
Right.
Yeah.
It'd have to, because it has to charge up.
Leo, I know you're not there yet, but The Good Wife covered self-driving cars. Who's responsible for an accident?
Did they resolve it for us all?
They had a segment on it, and when you get there, you'll love it.
That The Good Wife is ending.
Yeah. 7 seasons?
Oh, I loved her.
Yeah, she's great.
Her pet.
India says Internet.org violates net neutrality and is illegal. And they're shutting down Free Basics, which is the app, the nicely renamed internet.org. It's free basics. Mark Zuckerberg says, you're not keeping us out of India. Now, you just were talking about this with somebody, right, Jeff?
Yeah, so the guy who started this, Nickel Pawa, is the founder, amazing young guy who used to work for paidcontent.org for Rafat Ali, and then started his own media site called Medianama in India. And I met him when I was in Delhi, and he's a really, really wonderful guy, very smart, very connected. And when Internet.org came along, he had a fit about it, saying this violates net neutrality.
It's zero rating. It's another form of zero rating.
Exactly. And he said that's just the problem. So
zero rating, which is a terrible name because it's not clear what it is what T-Mobile's doing with binge on. And others do this, where, hey, you won't count against your bandwidth. We won't charge you when you consume data from these particular services.
Mm-hmm.
But
so
it's
discriminatory.
It's discriminatory. It's zero rating.
Right.
India decided that's not okay, and they prohibited zero rating.
So Nickel started the campaign and is credited with killing Internet.org. And he even ended up in a discussion a few weeks ago with Mark Zuckerberg online. He did, op-eds against. He created a credible campaign using all kinds of software to organize people to be able to send emails to their MPs and all kinds of things. And now has a platform for movements and protests. And basically took off the last, I think, 3 months and he's essentially going to start an NGO out of this to create political movements. And he said there's two things politicians care about. There's money or votes. We can't control the money. That's what the big companies have. But we can make them see the pressure of the votes, and they did, and he changed the discussion entirely. And interestingly, what I found interesting was that Nichols said he wasn't really fighting Facebook. He was fighting the telcos.
Yeah, because that's the one I'm worried about.
Yeah, you can't find the position that the telcos are doing this, but Facebook, in his view, was tone deaf in how it approached this. And I said, Nickel, my first question to him, is there any structure you could imagine I still like the idea of getting poor people on the internet.
Well, that's the debate. And I had this debate with Om Malik, who, of course, has some standing in this. He's Indian, understands the issues, and he really hates Internet.org. He says, no, that's not the internet. But my position was, if you're getting information, we get Wikipedia. Admittedly, Facebook's there, but Wikipedia is also there. Women's health clinics are put online by this. Isn't that a net benefit?
That's been my wish, is to find a way to make that work without ruining net neutrality, which I believe in, fiercely. And Nichols' answer was the only way to do it, in his view, is give people bandwidth and let them do with it what they want. Give them a credit and say, here's a whole bunch of sites that are wonderful and they're really cheap. And you can, stretch your rupee a long way by using these sites. No, you can go to a porn site too if you want to.
Yeah.
And that's the only way to do it, which you're not being discriminatory. And so it is a real challenge, because I think, and I said this to him, I think that Zuckerberg's motive was generally good and at face value here, that he really wants to bring people on the net. Both Google and Facebook are working on drones and satellites and kites to bring internet to remote areas. Now, what Nichols said is, he didn't necessarily argue with that, but he said there's also a clear business benefit to Facebook, and that's also very true. And part of the problem, though, in this case, it's interesting to me, is he said that the MPs are concerned about how Facebook could use, I don't think I said use, but could use its power as a gateway to news and content to lobby public and thus political opinion.
Right. Oh, you can imagine all sorts of harms.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. And not just in the case of Internet.org, but also in the case of this battle.
Right.
And so this is the discussion we in journalism have with Facebook that they've got to deal with. And I think there are answers, but they've got to understand what the questions are, what the issues are. That when Facebook becomes the primary distributor of news and information to people, then it has to decide what the principles are around protecting open and free information and knowledge in society and democracy and mom and apple pie, or whatever it may be that we want to protect as a society. And so it's true of Google, and Google has principles around this. And Facebook, I think, has to do some more thinking about this. They need the perspective of people like journalists and public society people in this discussion. They need to have an open discussion about this. And I've said this to them. And I think that the Internet.org case shows that vulnerability. That unless you're dealing with us in a way with principles that you can answer that and say, here's how we're operating, and here's why, and here's the responsibility we have. It wasn't just a case of the net neutrality that came up. Facebook put itself in a position where its role as gatekeeper to information also now becomes a factor. And they've got to deal with that.
You know, it's interesting. Malik, who, as I mentioned, is a dead set against this, wrote an interesting piece on his blog in which he said, maybe I'm suspicious because my family has told me their personal story of the British Raj and the story of how a commercial spearhead, the East India Company, came bearing gifts and then became the symbol of British imperialism. It's interesting. So the historical precedent for this is, you know, hey, we got good stuff for you for free.
Right.
Well, and that's what Mark Andreessen tried to step in.
Yeah, Mark tweeted some tweets.
Does he regret it?
Yeah. So this is, you were mentioning this earlier, this is the latest kerfuffle.
Mark, a master of Twitter, genius at Twitter, steps in and gives what he thinks is a simple opinion, and there was a firestorm.
And this was my opinion. I mean, I'm going to say it. You know, there is something to be said for at least a little internet, better than no internet. Mark tweeted, denying the world's poorest free partial internet connectivity when today they have none for ideological reasons strikes me as morally wrong.
And then he went on. It's the next one that got him in trouble.
And
up a little bit. No, down. That's the one.
So there's response. Benedict Evans responds, it's a terrible thing to offer people with no money the choice of something free. And then Vikram Chakra says, that sounds like justification for internet colonialism. Then Andreessen responds, anti-colonialism has been economically catastrophic for the Indian people for decades. Why stop now? Oops. Then what happened?
So then there was a huge furor on Twitter in India, and Andreessen had to back way out.
He apologized.
Facebook, adamantly said and don't forget, Andreessen's on the board of Facebook. So he wasn't just speaking as an individual. He was seen in some measure as speaking from Facebook. And so Facebook says, we have nothing to do with this. We completely disagree with it. It's everything for us. And then Andreessen had a great quote this morning. He said, I am henceforth going to leave discussion about complex Indian matters to those who know much better than I do.
Yeah.
And was out of it.
Yeah, as I do. That's one of the reasons I got turned around on this, is Ohm convinced me. Not because of the merit of his arguments, because I really wasn't sure I agreed with those, but just because he has stature and standing in this, and I don't. Last night on Twitter, says Andreessen, I made an ill-informed and ill-advised comment about Indian politics and economics. To be clear, I'm 100% opposed to colonialism and 100% in favor of independence and freedom in any country, including India. I'm a huge admirer of the nation in India, and the Indian people have been nothing but kind and generous to me for many years. I apologize for any offense my comment caused and withdraw in full and without reservation. That's a good apology.
Yeah.
I will leave all future commentary on all of these topics to people with more knowledge and experience than me. I don't even know what his tweet meant. I mean, what? How can you assert that the fight against colonialism has been harmful, economically catastrophic to the Indian people?
When India
what is
for
that?
some time wouldn't allow foreign companies to invest, things like that. And
this would be another example of being sensitive to this, right? Yeah.
Yes, exactly. You couldn't get foreign brands in. I mean, Coca-Cola wasn't in India for years. There were fake Coca-Colas in there.
Yeah.
And so finally, when it was opened up to international markets and investment and such, I think this is what Mark's saying. Look how much better things were when you tried to fight too far against the colonialism that in fact did depress them. Didn't do you much good. So now you're trying to, worry about and fight against Facebook. Is that the best thing to do? But again, folks, I'm not saying this. I'm just trying to interpret. Just to be clear, I'm not saying anything.
Yeah.
But I think that's how I interpreted what he was saying. But yes, it's a classic case of you can't make a complex argument in one tweet.
Right.
I think it's the first time I've seen Andreessen do a major skin back.
Good.
I think that he's been brilliant on Twitter, and generally, if you've gone that long and said that much and you've only screwed up once, that's not bad.
Well, I'm sure there's others who will find other screw-ups.
Oh, well, he's not running for president. Maybe
but this could well be a new form of imperialism, right? Intellectual or internet imperialism. Doesn't have to be geographic.
Yeah, no, that's the fear.
Yeah, and it is our burden as white men.
And it's the further fear of what Putin's internet czar is going to do, and China is going to, Iran's going to do in a split up internet, and France is doing right now, giving new rules on Facebook around, and Google. This is a story on the rundown. Google is now going to scrub results more because of the right to be forgotten decision, which makes a separate and different internet in Europe, a less complete internet there, which is just appalling.
Yahoo has announced, we knew they would do layoffs. We heard about it on their earnings call last week. They've announced their first round of layoffs. 15% of the workforce, 1,500 jobs. Today is announced to lay off the first 107, effective April 11th. Employees getting 60 days advance notice. They filed with the California Employment Development Department. The layoffs spread across a range of departments and job titles. Polishing up Yahoo for sale? Getting the stanching the bleeding? And it's in German, so I don't know what it means, but there's breaking Gutenberg news.
I just put that in. Guess who put that in there?
Isn't that an oxymoron? Has there really been any breaking news about Gutenberg?
Yes, this is a big deal.
I recognize this. This is what is this? This is the Mainzer Stadthistorie, the history of the state of Mainz.
Yes. So what happened? I just saw this on Facebook, and I was just putting this in here. The State Archive of Würzburg found a document from February 26, 1468, that refers directly to what was the quote I put in here? Certain forms, letters, instruments, and stuff that had come from the printing work that belonged to Johann Gutenberg, and that after his death he gave on. So this is there's very little documentary evidence, and this comes out of the fight that Gutenberg had, which I've talked about in the show before with Johann Fust, and I'm sure you're all up to speed on this. Who had funded Gutenberg, and he lost much of the business, but he kept some materials and left that to others. So this is actually in Gutenberg geek world, which is about 3 of us. This is big news. This is a nice historical find. Thank you for allowing me that little moment of Gutenberg moments. We can move on now.
By the way, the reference to white man's burden had nothing. It was an ironic reference.
Gotta be careful.
Oh, you get bit by people who don't know any history, and so they go, "Oh, he just said white man's burden." It's lucky I didn't say the rest of that, which was, those wogs really need us to help them get their lives in order. I am sad to hear this. The Bits blog is shuttering on the New York Times.
It just came out. The New York Times has killed blog after blog after blog after blog, and eventually they'll just be. I don't even know if this is the last one.
They'll still do the content, though, right?
Yeah. So
it's just not going to be separated out into a blog.
But the idea to go to that brand that was Bits, and the Bits has a voice, and Bits is something you can have a relationship with. I think it's kind of heading the exact wrong way.
Yeah.
I think that the big one-size-fits-all products must split up into a bunch of more relevant and targeted products, and they're doing the opposite.
So did stuff in the Bits blog get in the printed paper?
I don't know how much Bits blog did, but yes, I mean, certainly in one form or another, absolutely, the blogs since the beginning. And that was a pretty revolutionary thing because I had a great discussion with the then editor of the New York Times about blogs that went on forever. It's somewhere online, Bill Keller. And New York Times was sniffy about blogs. And then they started doing it. The tech writer Saul Hansel was one of the very first. And it was a huge note that some of the stuff that Saul wrote on the blog did actually appear in print. So it took the blog voice and put it in the gray old lady voice, and it started to change the entire voice of the Times. Blogs had a huge impact on the Times and its relationship to its public. So that's why I'm just sad. I'm mournful to see them basically go there.
But the content will remain. It's just...
the reporting in some form or another will be there, but will it have the same voice? Can I subscribe to the Bits blog and know the authors and all that? No, that's gone now.
The content will just be called tech.
Yeah, exactly.
I have to say, the word blog seems antiquated.
Yeah, it does.
Oh, now.
As a blogger, Jeff goes, wait a minute.
I don't
like the word podcast either.
My blog.
I think naming content, giving content a description based on how it's distributed is antiquated, right?
Mm-hmm.
Content's content.
But content as a concept is antiquated too.
Oh, no. What's replacing content?
Flow.
Flow.
Or as Dave Weiner would say, a river.
Flow. Be careful with your USB-C cables. We've been watching the posts of the Amazon, haven't you? It's so fun. Benson Leung from Google's been buying every USB-C cable he could find, and then if it doesn't live up to the spec, which means it could be actively dangerous for your USB-C powered device, he writes a review on Amazon. And I refuse to buy USB-C cables now unless I see Benson's seal of approval.
Does he say it's okay?
Unless
you fried his laptop.
Yeah, no, seriously. And it's great. In fact, I just bought a USB-C cable, and somebody sent me a link saying, because I was looking for the USB 3, that weird dimple cable. They call it a mic. I can't remember the name of it. There's a name for it. Anyway, somebody sent me a link to one, and I looked, and I said, I can't buy that one. Benson Leung says that's a terrible one. But then I searched some more, and Belkin makes one that Benson approves. So this is the new thing. Do not buy a USB-C cable unless Benson approves it. It's so cool. He's tested so many of them. Apparently, a bad USB-C destroyed his Chromebook Pixel.
Yeah, that's what I
presume Google gave him another one because it's worth it to.
Well, Dieter Bohn, who's writing about this in The Verge, said it happened to me, too.
Really?
Yeah, on his 6P. I used a cheap cable I found on Amazon to charge my Nexus 6P. It drew too much power from my MacBook Air's USB ports. They shut down temporarily to protect themselves, but when they came back online, they only worked intermittently.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sitting here with my Chromebook Pixel and my Pixel C and my Nexus 6P phone, all on USB-C.
So I do not buy anything unless I see Benson in the reviews of that cable say, okay.
Wow.
And then some Redditors have created a website with or a Google spreadsheet, your choice, aggregating his reviews, compliant or not compliant. You definitely need that. Because, but the good news is whenever he does put a review on Amazon, it's immediately voted up to the top. So you usually don't have to scroll down to find it.
You would think this would be something that would have been simply taken care of in the standard itself.
It is. They're not up to the standard. That's the point. They leave out a critical resistor in some cases.
Well, so here's the question, though. But all USB 2 cables couldn't do that damage? And it's just, is it something inherent in the design of USB-C that's more dangerous?
No, you could do this with USB 2. If you had something that drew, the difference is you're not drawing enough amperage with the USB 2. Usually those devices don't draw enough amperage. But
now you're powering laptops with it, like a Pixel or a MacBook.
Yeah, you're drawing a lot more amps over that cable, and when you do that, that cable's going to heat up if it's not thick enough.
Yeah.
So we've done that in our makerspace lots of times.
Have you?
Oh, yeah. Not with USB-C, just with sending too much power over too thin of a cable.
And it's not price specific. You really just have to look and see if it was made properly. I would imagine that this will at some point resolve itself because people will not buy the bad cables. But this is a good tip. Everybody should look for this. Now, let's solve this hoverboard problem. I've taken to putting our hoverboard out in the backyard and charging it outside. Our CPA firm, one of the partners in our CPA firm, had her hoverboard explode here in Petaluma a couple of weeks ago, throwing chunks of hot lithium ion throughout the room. Her husband and daughter were in the house. Jeez. Thank God they weren't standing next to it. They would have been damaged. $30,000 of fire damage. The FBI were actually out investigating it. So be careful.
Leo, babe.
Yeah?
You really want to use an auditor who uses a hoverboard?
No, it's for a daughter.
Oh, okay. That just made me a little too loosey-goosey California. Hey, man, I got
you should
your
see these
books
kids.
done.
No, you should see these kids on the hoverboards, man. They just go whizzing around. Michael's so good. He just goes whiz, 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 whiz. So be careful on the hoverboards. Yeah. Actually, UL Labs have started certifying hoverboards now. So that.
And they do USB cables, too.
Yeah, I wish they would. Yeah.
Yeah, charge it with a USB-C cable.
So if you're gonna buy a hoverboard, don't wait, because they haven't yet started certifying them, but they're going to start. I love, we give some credit, some props to
absolutely.
UL, the Underwriters Labs, who certify all the electronics we use, and they're much safer because of that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Love UL.
State that the lithium-ion battery contained in most hoverboards could be the source. Fortunately, there are many things you can do to protect yourself from such an incident.
He looks like he's been spending a lot
First,
of time testing.
Don't overcharge the hoverboard. Follow the
Electronics.
manufacturer's recommended charging times found in the product manual.
Somebody
Goes
said
without saying.
it wouldn't be a problem except for the cheap Chinese knockoff
Yes.
hoverboards. They're all Chinese. There's nobody makes a hoverboard in the U.S. Every hoverboard is made in China by probably 50 different countries, all knocking off each other. There's no official.
But aren't the ones with the Samsung batteries better or safer,
Do we know? We don't even know.
Aaron?
No, I mean they could be, right? But how do you know the charging circuit where
Right.
that came from?
It's
right?
not-
So you got
yeah.
a good battery, but if it's overcharged, any battery overcharged is going to well, not any battery.
And there are American companies selling these, but they're just rebranding Chinese hoverboards. They're not.
Where do the parts come from?
Yeah.
How are they designed?
I'm scared to death of our hoverboard now.
I'm way too clumsy, period. I'm not gonna.
You know what? They're easy.
No, not for me.
I thought, I'm not getting on this. This is trivial. The only problem is I've been spoiled by my Segway.
Right.
Because you use your body weight to steer the Segway. This, you use your toes. You lean your foot back and forward.
Rick
just takes a-
Smolin, you know Rick Smolin, wonderful
Yeah.
photographer who did This Day in Life America and all that. He got on one in about 30 seconds, fell off, and
Oh, no.
basically broke his wrist. Yeah.
What? Oh, I know Rick. I love Rick.
Eric's wonderful.
Leo, you should graduate to
better
the Segway hoverboard. The little guy.
They're coming in. We're going to have them on
Oh.
the new screensavers.
Nice.
It's you don't steer it with your feet. You steer it with your
Your
calves,
knee, yeah.
your thighs. There's a little rod that sticks up.
Oh.
But the rod also can be converted to a following robot.
It can convert into a robot with additional accessories, especially accessories sold separately.
Can I ask you guys a question?
Yeah.
On the US, back to the USB-C for a second. On the list, there's no USB-C to USB-C.
But they make them. I've
I
bought
know,
them.
because I need them. I
Yeah.
use them. There's nothing on here. Can you imagine why that's not on there?
There's A to C, there's AC, micro B, AC charge. That's just this list was just made by somebody. So what I would do is go to Amazon
And look for one and see
and
if-
look for one. And you know what? It's USB-C to USB-C. I have plenty of them, and I know they're all right. I wouldn't have bought them. Let's find one. Here's Anchor. Like Anchor. In fact, I love Anchor.
Usually a good brand.
USB-C. Let's go down, look at the reviews, though. Don't buy it without looking down here and see if Benson says it's okay. Oh, there's no review. So he's either not tested them or for some reason the review is not there. Huh. But Anchor's usually pretty good.
Usually, yep.
I can't imagine Anchor would be.
I usually buy Anchor USB 2 cables for all my stuff.
Yeah, and
Because
Anchor
they're
batteries.
Thick, they're heavy duty.
Yeah. If Anchor made a hoverboard, I'd buy their hoverboards. You know what? I don't see. I do. Well, Amazon reviews are useful, but I don't see. Maybe Benson doesn't. Maybe he doesn't check these. I don't know. I get the braided cables. I really like those, and for USB-C, I get different colors, so I will know. Yeah, I don't see any Benson reviews on here. Mr. Benson. All right, let's take a break, and we will get your tips and numbers, and we will get a demo
Yes.
of something very cool that Mr. Newcomb has brought us. Texture is so cool. I'm a Texture subscriber. Actually, I subscribed back when they were called Next Issue. They're now Next Issue by TextChar by Next Issue or something like that. Same idea. It's Netflix for magazines, basically, for your iPad or your phone or your tablet. You download the app, you subscribe, and it's all you can read of the best magazines. And I love this because, I like magazines. I think magazine writing is still some of the best writing out there. But I don't want to buy the magazine. That'll really add up. And I don't want to subscribe because that's going to add to the clutter. So I like reading them online, but not everything's online. So this is a really great solution in every category. So it's almost always that every month I want to read an article that's in Wired. I like the pictures in National Geographic. I might want to read an article in Rolling Stone or Vanity Fair. Rarely more than one. I don't want to, this is the way to do it. They've got literally dozens. In fact, if you go to TextChar, TextChar.com/twig, you can try it for free, and you can see the two plans. There's a $15 a month and a $10 a month plan. Different magazines available. You can download. You'll be downloading not only the current issue but back issues. You can download it and go offline, which is nice. The magazines are exactly like the magazines on the newsstand. Every page, every article. But it's easier to navigate. For instance, if you got the cover page, you can just click an article you want to read from the cover and go right into it. They also have an editorial team recommending daily stories and a collections list. They call it their curated collections that let you pick a topic and then read articles across a variety of magazines about that topic. Styling tips from GQ and Esquire, workouts from Men's Health or Men's Fitness, Forbes or Fortune to stay in the know. It's all there. I love it. And I want you to try it free at textchar.com/twig. If you travel a lot, if you're looking for a way to keep up on the magazines without the clutter, without killing the trees, textchar.com/twig. Is the magazine business in the same kind of straits as the newspaper business? Or I get the sense some magazines do fine, Jeff.
Yeah, well, a lot of print magazines, Condé Nast magazines where I used to work, Vogue and such, are still making money, but they recognize certainly they've got to be online and be digital. I've long contended that magazines should be better off on the internet because they start with a relationship. They start with relevance.
Right.
I like this magazine. Not that I don't think anybody's really done a good enough job yet of doing that, but they still think too much about content,
right,
rather than relationships. But I think that if they get their act together, they can be well poised.
I mean, there's some magazines like the New Yorker that are just, and that's a weekly. Impossible.
Yeah, New Yorker or The Economist. There are
yep.
Apple. There are things that are in its day. There are things that are so good that you can break all the rules.
Yeah. Yeah. I love magazines. That's why this, like National Geographic.
Yeah, National Geographic.
I used to have stacks of them in the basement. Now we don't have to do that because you get it in your, that's basic or.
I think somewhere still I have a whole bunch of them on DVD or CD-ROM, pardon me, CD-ROM.
Oh,
Yep.
I remember that. Yeah. That's when we all thought that was the future of publishing.
They're still pitching that on public radio.
What? Get a CD-ROM?
As a reward, yeah. Yeah, I was surprised. That's a good idea.
They had all the Mad magazines on CD-ROM, but there can be an issue because it depends how they digitize them. Like the Mad magazine digitization was not a very well done effort, unfortunately.
Oh, why am I not surprised?
Well, doesn't Condé on them now? I think so. All right, let's see. How should we do this? Well, I wanted to mention a couple of things. So remember we were talking about Google Fi. I don't know if I have my Fi phone here. And we were saying, how do you know which network you're on when you're on Google Fi? Because Google Fi doesn't expose that. And a number of people tweeted me and wrote to me saying, oh, you need an app. There's a special app. Probably a number of them, but there was one that almost everybody universally recommended that you can run on your Fi phone that will tell, I'm just looking for it because I can't remember the name of it now, that will tell you there it is, Signal Spy. That will actually tells you all sorts of interesting things. So here's the bands and the carriers. So right now I'm on T-Mobile, and I'm making a Wi-Fi call, but you can view the network history. So I can see that actually here in Petaluma, I never get connected to Sprint, but this would be really useful to see, even to the point of the promiscuous connection. So this is promiscuously connecting to a Wi-Fi at a restaurant next door to a store I go to. And I don't want to be connected to them promiscuously, but in fact, that's one of the things that Google Fi will do if it's an open access point. So this is a really nice little program. It's called Signal Spy. If you're a Google Fi user and you're trying to keep up on what's going on. Now, I don't keep it running in boot because I'm trying to get my battery life up on this phone. But a very useful thing. You can even say, one of the things you can do is you can say which dialers you should use in preference over others instead of letting it pick automatically. Nice little doohickey. Thank you for all the people who sent me a note on that. And then I just got this book from No Starch Press. I love No Starch Press. They do great stuff. And I'm really excited about this. Learn to program with Minecraft. Now, as some of you know, I kind of fell in love with Minecraft and started a Minecraft server of my very own. But what I didn't know was that on the Raspberry Pi, the Minecraft there has an interface to Forth. You can use Forth commands to interface with Minecraft. And that's what this is all about. It's a good way to learn Forth, especially for kids who are Minecraft obsessed, because when you say to them, well, you know what? You could build a rocket ship programmatically, just a few lines of code. You could build a 100-foot high wall to separate your land from other lands, but you just need to know a little code. That gets them very interested. And this is done by Craig Richardson, who is an educator, uses Python to teach. He's taught high school computing classes, led workshops on programming Minecraft with Python. And the nice thing is you don't have to have a Raspberry Pi to do this. This will work on Windows, Mac, or Linux. He actually gives you the files to download and offers you a very simplified way to set up a Minecraft server on your own computer so you can write software and use the idle IDE for Python to write code. It's pretty cool. It's, dance parties. This is the, teleportation. You show a kid this, that you can create a disco floor that lights up when you dance around on it. They suddenly say, I'd like to do that. So I've really been enjoying this. Very cool. Learn to program with Minecraft. Craig Richardson's the author, and it's from No Starch Press. They do a lot of great stuff.
Reminds me of a lot of coding cookbooks I looked at when I was a kid.
Yeah. I just feel like this is a great way to ease a kid into programming. Maybe even better than robots. I mean, some kids like that physicality of a robot or the turtle, the logo, turtle graphics and all that. But because kids are already doing stuff in Minecraft, you've shown me some really cool stuff, Aaron, that you do in your makerspace and with your daughter in Minecraft. For instance, you showed me before the show she can design a house and then send it to a printer, a 3D printer.
That's right. Yeah, that's called Printcraft.
That is pretty awesome.
Yep, it's really cool.
Yeah,
it's really cool because it connects the physical thing. A lot of what we talk about in the makerspace is, in terms of education, is it's great to learn the theory. Right. But then what's the practical application? Right. You always hear kids say, "I'm never going to use this calculus once I get out of school." Well, show them how they use it. And turn them on to education, turn them on to learning something new. Yeah. And they'll go a long way. So I really like this. And it's nice that if you do have a Raspberry Pi, it comes by default, I believe, with the Raspbian operating system. Yeah. So you just load up your $5 Raspberry Pi Zero and plug in a few extra things, and it's right there. Kids can just jump on it and use it.
Be better to get a Raspberry Pi 2 if you can afford the $35.
It'd be better.
A little more horsepower and a little more memory. But yeah, I mean, what a great thing that you have this little thing in an Altoids box, right? That is not only a Minecraft server that is persistent in game, but you can program it.
Exactly. Yep. Learn to program with something you love.
Yeah, I love this. Jeff, some numbers.
All right, let me try that. You surprised me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I'm there. Where was it? Right. Facebook is telling advertisers to add captions to their videos. People are watching 100 million hours of video on Facebook every day.
Wow. Watching, right? Not uploading. 100 million watching.
Watching, right? And so the advertisers put this over there, but they haven't been as smart as AJ Plus, for example, and they're not. They're presuming people are going to listen to their wonderful ad, so they're not getting their message across. So Facebook's director of ad products marketing, Graham Mudd, told Business Insider the company estimates that as many as 40% of video ads don't communicate their message effectively unless they have the sound on. So they're taking their just plain old commercials and
Put
putting them on
captions
Facebook,
in.
not being aware, of course, captions, headlines, other things. Facebook also said that internal tests showed that captions can increase video view time by an average of 12%, which stands to reason. I'm surprised it's not even more in a sense. Mudd said that 55% of people who watch the first 3 seconds of an ad will watch the next 10 seconds. 45% will make it to the end. That 3-second number is significant. It's the length of time Facebook counts as a view. So Facebook's going to charge you, I would presume, for that. So it's interesting to me just simply that these guys are not updating for the way that, I mean, Facebook set the structure. And we talked about this on the show before. I've argued for a few years that mobile video needed to be silent movies because you weren't going to put headsets in or listen publicly or all that. I never anticipated what Facebook did in making autoplay silent. Thank God they did that.
Well, they had to, right?
And I find it actually a very good feature because I'll look at the video and I will often, with AJ Plus, I'll often sit and watch the whole thing. I get informed. There's eye candy, things moving. It's great. You'd think advertisers would have been ahead on this, and they're not. So now Facebook is trying to school them.
I find it telling that I've actually used this as a shorthand way of judging which presidential candidates are socially media aware and which are not.
Yeah.
Because, for instance, Hillary is, in fact, your son is on the right team.
Yes.
Hillary does captions, you see, on all of her stuff. So that you know immediately what's going on, and obviously that's going to raise her engagement. Let's see if Donald Trump. By the way, I follow them all because
you don't need to know what he says.
Let's see if he's using.
Does he even have video?
Let's see if he's using video to. No, and
Are
are you
using video?
He apparently has no video.
Forget
on
the
here.
captions.
Now, that's certainly not an indicator of whether somebody's going to be a good president, but I think it is interesting to see their command of the medium, whether they're in this century.
Feel the burn.
Yeah. Well, let's see. I also follow the burn. Let's see if the burn has it. He's what, 70? What was the really good crack that was it? John Kasich said somebody maybe. Oh yeah, he's using
applause.
Yeah, he's using captions. The Burn's got it because he's got all the young people.
He's hip.
Who was it that was it? Donald Trump said, "I thought Bernie was going to turn 77 right there on the stage." Very effective. That was a little shot, right?
Yeah.
All right, so the Burn's doing it. Let's see, maybe is Marco Rubio still in the running? No, apparently
it
not.
just says this. It says the same thing over and over and over again. That's all.
It's a lot easier to do the captions on his page.
Yeah,
Burn.
He has
cut and
predictive
paste.
captions.
Yeah. Did you see the Ted Cruz video, by the way? But see, he's got the video.
Right.
He's got the ad, which is a great ad. Captions, Ted. Just a tip.
No, I didn't see that one.
Oh my God! He's finally taken aim at the Donald.
Oh.
I don't want to go political on this, but I'll let you. But I think you're absolutely right. That's how you get the views up.
Yeah. Now Facebook. This thing also says that Facebook conducted a study with Nielsen, commissioned by Facebook, that found that 40%, up to 47% of the value in a video campaign was delivered in the first 3 seconds. Well, of course, Facebook would say that, given that that's
all they count.
View. And 74% of the value was delivered in the first 10 seconds.
Wow.
Now, I understand
that's hard to do
though,
a video that has 10 seconds, and you got to get the content in there in 10 seconds. Well, we could learn a thing or two from that.
What's the value? How do you say what the value of a video is?
Right.
Yeah, so that's right. Let's reduce all Twitch shows
10 seconds.
Snapchat.
Gutenberg.
Snap Twit.
I take great pride in the fact that we are pretty old-fashioned here at Twit. We do long, thoughtful, wordy shows.
So is Facebook going to offer they should offer this as a service, right?
Yeah, captioning.
Yeah. Hey, we'll go back and redo all your videos for a fee. And add the captions, and then just they must have some predictive or analytical.
Jeb Bush, no captions. Here's he's given his thank you to New Hampshire speech, but But am I going to turn on the sound? No, because I'm at work, right? I can't. And
you don't want to fall asleep on the job.
No, come on now. Come on now. Let's not be mean. He's a nice fella.
Yes, he is.
What did Trump call him? Low energy? How about Marco Rubio? Do you think he, as you said, probably very easy to caption his...
Just have a robot do it.
Yeah, jeez. No video.
No video.
No video. Very texty. Now, on the other hand, you might say, well, I think somebody who puts a lot of thought in there and a lot of text, what's wrong with that? You know, that's somebody who's not hip. I don't want somebody hip in the presidency.
You want to communicate with voters. If I'm going to that page, use every tool that's available to communicate with me.
Right.
You can read text while you're on a treadmill? No.
Yeah.
That's why you want a video.
So Carly Fiorina and Chris, my dear governor, Chris Christie are out.
Oh, Chris did decide to drop out. Huh?
Yeah, I did. But to suspend, yes.
I'm sad about that because he was fun to watch. And, you know, he's the guy who got Marco Rubio in a loop.
As somebody said, I don't know where it was said, but it was a murder-suicide.
That's terrible.
But I just tweeted that somebody should wake up Ben Carson and tell him he died last night.
Yeah.
But he's going on.
Did you see the funny video of them coming on stage during the last debate?
Did you see the remake?
No. Yeah, I saw it on your feed where you put John Travolta.
I didn't put it there. Somebody put John Travolta meme waiting to go on stage. It was perfect, just perfect. Love the internet.
It's such a good meme where it's from Pulp Fiction where Travolta comes over to the house and he's looking around. Where is she? She's talking to me. I know she's talking to me. All right, let's see what you built here, my friend.
All right, so I always try to bring a project on because I think that's people need to do more projects.
Do you want me to show that video? I can show that video.
Yeah, so look it up if you want to.
I'm connected in.
All right, awesome.
Make your own simple RGB LED cube.
Yeah, so I can't claim all the credit for this. The inspiration for this project came from a guy that I like to watch on YouTube. He does a channel called Great Scott, and he's from Europe, and he's got a thick accent, but it's okay. He does some cool stuff. And so I've always wanted to do a 5x5 LED or an LED cube. And he released a video on how to do, build your own 5x5 LED cube. I thought, you know what? I'm going to take a look at what he did and follow along. And
you did it.
I did it.
You made a great one.
Yeah,
so what do you need? You need LEDs.
You need LEDs, and these are programmable LEDs. There's a big difference. So these aren't just regular LEDs. They're not just multicolor LEDs. They actually have a little chip inside. And it sends, what it does is it reads, there's an in and an out on each one of these. There's 4 connections, 2 for power and then 2 for the data path. So what it does is it looks for a data stream and it says, is this little bit of information for me? If not, pass it on. And so it gets its instructions from a single wire. You send the command down the wire and it says, okay, this is for me. You just told me to make myself red. I'm going to make myself red. You just told me to turn on. I'm going to turn it on. And so they're really great because all you need is one wire out of an Arduino or a Raspberry Pi to make this whole thing function.
Really?
You don't need to do shift registers. You don't need to do
that's neat.
Complicated electronic setups, and that makes it really, really
you address them by row and column kind of?
You can do that, absolutely. You can. Right now there's 0 through 1, I have 125.
Just number them.
So they're numbered 0 through 124. And that's how you do it. But actually we're looking at doing an array like that, an XYZ array.
Yeah.
Yep. And that way you can do some really cool stuff very easily. So should I turn it on?
Yeah.
So we can take a look at it?
You've actually put in a pot so you can dim them, which is
That's
nice.
right. So this is on dim mode so the cameras can pick them up.
Look at that.
So this is one I made. I made this pattern just as a test to see if I could do it. It's always fun. And then the next one I did is more interesting, which is it was raining at the time here in California, which is odd. But I wanted to do a thunder and lightning, a lightning and rain kind of thing. So you'll see in a minute the lightning will go, right? And then it'll start raining.
And this is written in that's cool. In C or
C++. This is done with Arduino, so it's C++.
Oh, it's an Arduino. It's not a Raspberry Pi.
Yep.
Okay.
It's an Arduino Nano. If I open it up, you'd be surprised. The thing measures about 1 inch by about ½ an inch.
And a lot of loops.
A lot of loops.
A lot of 4 loops here.
Exactly. That's exactly right. A lot of math goes into this, basically. So now it's pouring outside, right?
Oh, that's so cool. That is so cool.
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. I tell you what, if you want to learn how to solder,
Yeah, that's a lot of soldering, right?
Practice first, do a simple project and then come back to this. This took me probably about 20 hours of soldering to put together.
Because the LEDs have a short little leads that you're putting on copper wire there.
That's right.
Is that right?
That's right. Yep. And you have to. There's a lot of soldering. There's 4 solder joints for every LED.
Wow.
120. And you look at these people that do the 10 by 10 cubes or even larger, and it's like that must have taken you a year, right? Because it's exponentially larger when you take a look at that. So anyway, it's a lot of fun. It's electronically and programmatically, it's a fairly simple project to do, but it's a great little project, and it's a nice showy project. If you want something to impress your friends, an LED cube is the way to go.
And Corel says that's nice, but what is it? What's it good for? It's not good for anything.
Yeah, it's just for fun.
It's for fun.
It's just for fun.
Although you could tie it to music, right?
Absolutely. So that's the next step. There's a couple things I want to do with this. One is to add a speaker so that when you see that flash of lightning, you get the thunder with it, right? The other one is I've got a little chip that does wavelength analysis.
So you need a microphone.
So you can need a microphone and this little chip, and it'll take the audio in and then turn it into a wave pattern.
I'm going to build this in Minecraft.
There you go.
No soldering required.
That's right. That's right. That'd be cool, actually.
You could totally do it.
Yeah, totally.
In the back of this book, it has a table of all the different materials. So I could alternate gold blocks with, redstone or flowing lava. Ooh, that'd be kind of interesting.
Yeah, use the beacon feature.
Yeah.
Do beacons.
Ooh, yeah. Some people are software, some people are hardware.
Yeah.
You could be both.
I think you should be both. I think people should be both. It's submarine.
I think we're going to dive now. You could make this, if you had a lot of time, you could make a Burning Man 1,000 by 1,000 that you ride around in a bicycle.
That would be crazy. That would be crazy. The other thing I thought of is to do the snake game.
Yeah.
Where you chase the red pixel around and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger until the whole thing is lit.
Ooh.
That'd be fun.
Ooh.
But haven't had time to work that out. Once I get the matrix written, right, for the XYZ matrix.
I wish there were more time
easier.
in life.
Me too.
If I didn't have to sleep, I could do things like this.
Yeah.
Damn that sleep.
Yeah.
Aaron, so glad you came. You always bring a project that's fun. That's
I try
really,
to. I
really cool. I can't believe you do. Yeah. And you do a lot of these things with your kids. I mean, are they kind of part
especially
of
my daughter. In fact, Jeff was talking about the 3-doodler. She's been wanting a 3-doodler.
Oh.
So
I get it.
If you're not going to use it,
it is a lot of fun.
My Little Pony.
Actually,
the problem is I have the first version.
Yeah,
the new
beta
version is way better.
Oh yeah,
they did a lot of really nice improvements to it, and it's really good.
Yeah,
they're a great bunch of people.
Yeah, we've got the beta version in the makerspace actually, and she doesn't want to use that one. She wants the new one. So maybe a good birthday gift, or maybe we'll get one for the makerspace to share.
Where's the makerspace?
It's in Benicia. So if you're anywhere really in the Northern California, just north of San Francisco, if you're in Oakland or Concord, Walnut Creek, Petaluma even.
Yeah.
We've got people that come from Napa and American Canyon down to Benicia. And, you get shared tools. You get free training on a lot of stuff. It's really, really inexpensive. And
Website?
We're doing BeniciaMakerspace.org. And then we're doing a maker fair in Benicia. It's our second maker fair.
Congratulations.
And last year's was really successful. So that's going to be in April. April 16th is a Benicia Maker Fair. So if you're in the area and you want to come down and check out what people are doing, that's the best time to do it. And we're looking for some speakers. We'd like to have a featured speaker. So maybe you guys can help me crowdsource that. Who should I get for a speaker? Who would be a good public speaker who would come up and talk about the value of making things and inventing things?
I shall keep my eyes out.
Yeah, let me know.
Yeah. I bet I could find you somebody.
That'd be great. Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us, Jeff Jarvis. Always a pleasure. Jeff is a journalism professor at CUNY, but you can find his blog at buzzmachine.com. Follow him on the Twitter at Jeff Jarvis. Do you still use Google+? Really?
Not really.
No. It's sad.
I don't use it as much anymore either. I still use it, just not as much.
When I go in there now, it feels like it's like a lot of spam.
Here's the big news. Yeah, Mike Elgin, the greatest defender of Google+, the man who said no spams there, complained the other day, spam on Google+.
It's just
I felt so
constant
sad.
spam.
So sad.
And I think Google's not doing it a disservice with their hot topics because I'm seeing a lot of stuff that should not be, up and coming. So it's disappointing. Hey, look at this. Jason Howell, how I use Android. Ooh, from Computer World. I'll have to see that. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Aaron. Thanks to all of you for joining us. We do This Week in Google every Wednesday afternoon, about 1:30 p.m. Pacific, 4:30 Eastern, 21:30 UTC. You can watch live on twit.tv or get on-demand audio and video after the fact, twit.tv/twig. We're also on YouTube. We're also everywhere, frankly, on every podcast client. Make sure you get a copy each and every week, and we'll see you next time on Twig. Bye-bye.